All right, definitely get started. Right, shalom, shalom. Welcome to Mid Morning Brew. First and foremost, I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh by Shem Mashiach Wamalak Yahushai. Of course, we give him all honor and glory for allowing us to come before you today and to continue to inform our people in such you know I say a opportune time. Right, we're in a very opportune time to have this understanding and to be able to dispense it to the masses. So a lot of people look, in the world. There's a lot of confusion going on right now in the world, and people are looking for answers. So, it's a wonderful time to, have this truth and understanding and be able to, um, be able to inform our people, right? So, just a few things, dealing with programming that I wanted to mention, right? So we're definitely branching out and being able to reach more people in different places. Tomorrow we will be having a mid-morning brew blend on Twitter Spaces. We definitely did reconnaissance and checked it out. We're going to be holding some more rooms on Twitter Spaces. Myself, along with Truth Mafia as well. Yesterday, Truth Mafia held the room on Twitter Spaces. I think it was a pretty successful room. Um, you know, it's a lot of things to offer, and more, the more opportunity to be able to, reach more people, feed more sheep. And we don't want to put all of our eggs in one basket, so to speak. So we're going to be branching out a little bit. We are also live streaming on YouTube on our Thy Kingdom Come. So that's going to be more along with we're going to be doing lessons, live streaming on Thy Kingdom Come as well. It's going to be more of our content there. So look out for that. So you're able to um, get the certification through multiple mediums, right? Not just one source. Yesterday we did mid morning brew blend on Clubhouse. So if you don't know how to set up a Twitter account, which is fairly easy, you can hit us up. It's not that difficult. Just go on and make a Twitter account, or if you have one already, fine. And once you have a Twitter account, you'll be able to find the Twitter Spaces room tomorrow. So that's going to be tomorrow. Mid morning brew blend is going to be on Twitter Spaces. Doing our first room on Twitter Spaces, right? And that'll be then. So as I said, we are live streaming on the YouTube, Thy Kingdom Come, or to find it, it's Thy Kingdom Come with the dash behind it, at Thy Kingdom Come with a dash behind it on YouTube. Okay. So with that being said, and if anybody wants to get in any of our chats, right, so it works a little differently, right? So you could definitely hit myself up and we'll get you in the Telegram, where we post a lot of our information and stories there, the Thy Kingdom Come Telegram. Or if you want to get into the Truth Mafia Telegram, just hit myself up and I'll add you. Just send me a message and I'll get you in there. Make sure that y'all ping, as well as share the room, and let people know, because people be asking, like, where is the mid morning brew blend going to be at? And a lot of times we usually post it to let people know. I didn't want to. We was actually going to do it today, but I wanted to make sure I give people advance notice of doing so, right? Because there's people that do be checking for us. A few people, not a whole bunch, but a few people do look, check to see what we're doing, and if we're holding to that, commitment of Ezekiel 3:17, which we definitely want to do. We always want to, don't take this lightly at all. So all praise to the Most High, Kwame Sha'ala. You know, beautiful thing to be here in this time. It's exciting times. So bear with me. I'm gonna be a little, brothers is kind of busy today, so I'm gonna be a little, slow with the articles, but I'm gonna try to make it where you know everyone is able to, get access to the articles that's brought out, right? So just bear with me because I'm working the YouTube and the fan base. And y'all know fan base is it's a little slow. So let me get to the first article I want to bring out. All right. And y'all jump in the chat if y'all have any questions. I'm gonna be checking the fan base chat. Let me see. Sister said, "Oh, okay, sis. Yeah, yeah. You just sign up for Twitter. That's a good information source, right? Twitter is a great information source. You can get a lot of news from Twitter. Now they call it X, of course. I had a sister last night. She was like, I don't have a Twitter account, but I do have an X account. So Twitter is now X. That's what it's called, right? It's formerly known as Twitter, but it's now X. So you know these de- these demons, and they changing it the name of these things, right? But needless to say, yeah, you just sign up for it, and it's a good source. You definitely can follow our Twitter on there. Thy Kingdom Come. I'm on there as well. And it's a good source of information. That's where we share a lot of information as soon as it breaks. If you like, a lot of times, if you want breaking news on information, that's where it'll appear first. It's Twitter. So I do stamp that as it's a apparatus made by these devils, but the Most High does use it to inform its people at a very high, fast rate. So a lot of our people use that. So yeah, and make sure you pass that information around. I'll be posting something in the chat to let our people know about it, about the Twitter spaces, because I know it's a few of our people that ain't probably signed up for Twitter. They've been holding out. I know it seems like too many damn accounts, because all these apparatuses, our people is like, man, I just been told to go to fan base. I just downloaded fan base. Now you're telling me to go to now you're telling me to deal with Twitter. It is a lot. So Salakia. But we got to try to get the information out as best as we can. So bear with me. I'm going to let me do this real quick. Salakia. Do, 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 do. All right. Okay. So going to get to these articles, and I'm going to try to pin it, because I usually, when I pin these articles, I usually I want y'all to get them in the chat as well as me, just in case, because y'all ask a lot of times, people ask me for the articles, so I'm gonna try to pin them in the chat. We was doing that, so I want to make sure I continue with that. Hey, Shalom, Azrael. Salakia.
Sure, okay.
Let me mod you up. I was just telling them I made you head mod. You see that? But if you could transfer that back real quick, Salakia. I was trying to mod you up. But what I was telling them is that tomorrow we're gonna do the inaugural Twitter Spaces room. I just want to get them advance notice to create an account, because I know we wanted to do it today, but I told them that tomorrow we're definitely gonna be on the Twitter Spaces doing the room. And we may switch it up a little bit. Yesterday the brothers, I think 2 days, because this app was acting crazy, and we did it on Clubhouse. So we go on where the people are, to a certain extent. We're gonna try to fish in every place we go, and inform our people. So we'll definitely inform you where we're gonna be. You know, so let me get to this first article, Salakia. Um, I don't know if people seen this. This was definitely a crazy story that was in the headlines. It says 7 dead, dozens injured after massive pileup on Louisiana interstate, right? And we've been seeing like, crazy weather have been happening. You know, of course they want to relate it to everything, but I just kind of, chalk it up to the most high sending death upon the land, right? They want to chalk it up to climate change, which is, by even their scientists and experts, it's not what they say it is. But needless to say, the Most High is sending the death angel to this place in a lot of ways, and we have to be just spiritually, spiritually girded, right? So it says here, in an accident of severe fog on Monday morning, at least 7 people lost their lives, more than 2 dozen sustained. Salakia. Shalom, Mikhail. Um, it says at least 7 people lost their lives, more than 2 dozen sustained injuries, and a staggering 158 vehicles suffered damage in a series of at least 3 significant collision clusters on I-55. The dense fog reduced visibility to near zero. It says state police are currently engaged in the ongoing search for potential victims, as they say there have may be additional casualties to report as of 6 p.m. Right, and this would have been as of yesterday, right? I believe yesterday was Tuesday, so this happened on Monday. So it is cleared now, but continuing on with the article, it says I-55 remained closed with efforts to clear damaged vehicles from the roadway. It says during the incident, one vehicle veered off the interstate and into the water below. But fortunately, the driver was safely rescued. Additionally, at least 2 vehicles caught fire. Some fire trucks was unable to access the elevated section of I-55. Sprayed water from the ground. Social media posts and videos depicted areas with nearly zero visibility, including an image of a significant vehicle fire. It says, Salakia, scrolling down a bit. Um, it says the remarkably low visibility was attributed to, of course, meteorological phenomenon known as super fog, which results from a combination of smoke and fog, leading to visibility levels at or below 10 feet, right? It says once the super fog cleared, the extent of the pileup on I-55 west of New Orleans could be captured by air. Video could be captured by air. It says, so that's the end of the article there. It didn't give the nationalities of the people that lost their lives in this accident, even though we have people in that area, so we don't know. It's just it was crazy. Just looking at the video, y'all can see probably from the picture. Um, it was like it looked like something like The Walking Dead almost, or post-apocalyptic um, you know, scene, something like from the Book of Eli or something like that. But it was crazy, man, to see that on a U.S. highway. And the craziest thing about this thing is that this was on a bridge. This was an elevated portion of I-55 that goes over water, right, through Louisiana, and you know people had nowhere to go, right? So even the people on the highway, they can only jump onto the other side, which is oncoming traffic, or into the water. That's how crazy this was, right? And with the way this place is, like dry weather, usually kicks up. I've seen something like this down in South Carolina, where another person a sister, a Jake sister, lost her life in this super fog, right? Combination of, you know, what they call it, wildfires and fog, right? Humidity, making fog, and it's crazy. You can't see nothing, right? The sister was actually killed, with a semi truck ran into a car, not being able to see. Like she actually, and some of the worst thing that you can do, right? Of course, some people just stop in the middle of the road, right? First of all, you need to definitely slow down as much as possible. And, you need to try to, trying to get off the road if possible. But a lot of people just stop right in the middle of the road with their blinker lights on. You got to try to get to the shoulder of the road the best way you can and slow down until you're able to at least pull off the road. But definitely slow down. People keep driving the same speed, and some people even just stop in the middle of the road. That's definitely not a good thing to do. But I don't know if brothers have anything they want to add to this. If so, feel free. All right, probably lie. Nobody got anything they want that. All right, so let's see what we have next lined up. Give me 1 second while we transition. Did y'all brothers have any domestic one?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
just
go ahead, Ken.
was able to get to the line right quick. Yeah, that's a tragic situation right there, bro. 7 dead in a traffic collision. So you got to watch out for take our time on these roads, bro. All right, but he was asking if we have anything else in domestic or
Yeah, anything that y'all have that y'all have lined up.
KD.
Oh, Salaki, I'm on mute. Yeah, anything that y'all have lined up, feel free to bring it out. We could definitely
Okay.
get you.
One for domestic. Yeah, why did you do that, bro?
Oh, I could pin it for you if you want. That's no problem. You pass it back. I could do it because I'm also pinning them in the chat as well to the people. So it's all good if you want me to do that.
Okay. Um, I'll hold you to that for the next one. But since I'm already here, let me just get it real quick.
Okay. Let me.
We spoke about this briefly yesterday about the migrant crisis and what's going on. So I came across this article today talking about what the government is prepared to do for the homeless immigrants that are coming in. You know, America is spending a lot of resources and spending a lot of money on people that aren't even Americans, right? But let's get into the article, all right? And I could see this dragging into something deeper as people become more aggravated and seeing U.S. resources being directed to people from all over the world, but Americans, like everybody else but Americans. It says councils could be forced to reopen asylum hotels to cope with homeless immigrants. Right? A leading local authority group has warned that some of the 50 hotels set to close its doors to illegal immigrants may have to be reopened by councils to cope with the asylum pressures. The Local Government Association, or the LGA, said government has yet to offer any alternatives to house illegal immigrants, warning the plans will just leave more homeless. Sean Davies, chairman of the LGA, said councils will legally obliged to find somewhere to stay for the large numbers of immigrants presenting as homeless after leaving hotel accommodations where the asylum applications were processed. And it says, in quote, "We've got a housing shortage. We've got a huge demand on temporary accommodation, and we've got councils in financial strain." Mr. Davies told Salakia, while hotels were not a long-term solution for the housing, those who have entered the U.S. illegally, Mr. Davies said the question had to be, if not those hotels, then where? That's the irony of the situation. That's one part of the system might boast that they're doing relatively well, but actually that's shunting the issue and costs to local taxpayers, he said. The LGA chair, who is also the labor counselor, made comments in response to the immigration minister, Robert Jenrick's announcement that 50 hotels housing immigrants will no longer be used by January. Right? I think I'm gonna end it there. As it goes, and we already know the story. New York has been flooded with it. The city of Los Angeles has been flooded with it. This is going to be a thing that carries on, I think, into the future, going into 2024. But I don't know how comment worthy this one is, but I'll leave the floor open for comments on that. But I yield.
Yeah, so you got to think that you know, everything that's been happening with you know, they've tried to find every single place to, you know, basically put these people, right? You know, brought out an article, I believe it was yesterday, in regard, or the day before, in regard to the you know, the community in Chicago, um you know, or let's just say the Black community, you know, our people, um, you know, having meetings about the resources that's being taken from them and these people being forced into their areas, right? We know New York has you know, basically um rescinded, or, you know, I guess that's the best word I could use right now, their right to shelter law in the case of this. So, you know, they've been overwhelmed, right? This was a plan or a scheme that they've had. Both sides, right, had planned to use this, and it's coming back to bite them, right? This the country is being overwhelmed, right? It's being you know, overthrown. These people are you know, going to the streets. They're, you know, they're overloading the system. You know, this is something that have been tried to use both political parties to their benefit, and you know, we know it's something of biblical proportion that, you know, people are flocking to the land of the north, and these people are going to overwhelm this place to the extent that it's going to be you know, second Edris 15, and is going to come into effect, where, you know, these cities is going to be shut down. It's going to be, you know, it's going to be nations against nations in the streets, right? So, you know, you know, this is you know, this is just due with the things that's happening. um you know, they're going to every single extent to try to find places for these people, but it is no place. It was no place before these people got here, right? You have all of these places where these people are going, right? So-called migrants. Um, they have homeless problems. You know, it's no places. You know, it's no jobs there. So the fact that they're finding people to take the resources which they don't even have already, you know, it just goes to show that this place is, you know, there, you know, it's the place of confusion, and, you know, they, this is a kick the can down the road type of you know, country that we live in, instead of dealing with the problems that they have, they bring in more type of problems and exacerbate the problems, because they want to make order out of chaos, and that's essentially what they're doing with this. So, I think it's a very good article. As much as we continue to talk about these people, I think the next step that we seeing that they're going to do, which is every country's doing, especially Israel, is that they're going to be using these people to fight the war. That's what they need. They need them for labor. They need them for military. They need them for those type of things.
Okay. I agree 100%. 100. The KB, I posted an article before I pass the crown back to you. I just want to get into this one, and then I'll yield to you and Micaiah. But we touched on this briefly, and the good sister Chantel, before we ended that room yesterday, she came up because apparently, she works in the correctional industry, if you could call it that, and talking about how she's seeing new patterns when it comes to, drug use amongst our enemies, right? Particularly Esau and Amalek, right? And we got into the conversation talking about how the U.S. government deemed the opioid issue, as it relates to their people being the main abusers of it, a crisis, right? And we compared that to our issues that we suffered in the 80s, the 70s, 80s, and even the early 90s as it relates to crack cocaine and the addictions that we suffered, right? All we got for it was extended stays in prison if caught or in possession of these drugs. Esau and Amalek, they get a safe place to shoot up and things of that nature. And then, lo and behold, the Most High put this across me today to bring out. It says, America's fentanyl crisis now a national security threat, right? So before I even start reading, now you can see the hypocrisy of Esau. And this is what you call systematic oppression, because we weren't extended the same privilege and sympathy when we were the ones that consumed drugs at a heavy rate, and we were the ones downtrodden from the drugs, right? Now, it's a whole national security threat because of mostly white people being a part of this opioid crisis, right? Not to say that Jake ain't in it. We're not in it to the numbers that they are. Not enough to cause concern the way it's causing concern among them. But let's get into the article real quick. It reads, America's fentanyl crisis now a national security threat. Fears mount over weapons potential, right? America's ongoing battle. No. It says 2 milligrams and 10 minutes can be the difference between life and death with fentanyl. America's ongoing battle against illegal opioids flooding across the southern borders hit another milestone this year when security officials and legislators declare fentanyl a national security threat. Medical and security professionals say that the drug could be used in a terrorist attack against the United States. The amount of fentanyl U.S. Customs and Border Protection CBP seized in fiscal year 2023 topped out at 27,000 pounds. That's more than an 83% spike from the previous year. In 2022, an astonishing 73,654 deaths were attributed to fentanyl overdose. That's double the number of mortalities in 2019. Research shows that 68% of the 107 and 81 U.S. drug overdose deaths in 2022 were from opioids. Most of them were attributed to illegally manufactured fentanyl. When observed through the lens of warfare, fentanyl killed more Americans in 1 year than the total number of casualties in the Battle of Gettysburg The tally of fentanyl-related deaths in 2022 also surpassed the number of U.S. soldiers killed in action during the Normandy invasion in World War II. Medical and security insiders say fentanyl's potential as a chemical weapon can't be overstated. A tiny amount of the drug in the human bloodstream can kill. Fentanyl is odorless and tasteless, and a lethal dose can be as small as 2 milligrams. For perspective, that's the amount of 5 grains of table salt. Damn. Regardless of how it enters the body, deadly side effects can occur within minutes. Even more alarming, enough fentanyl is smuggled into the United States every month to kill every single American, according to the article published by the Missouri Medicine. And it says, in quote, a terror organization or hostile nation state could undoubtedly devastate the United States with organized, innovative, surreptitious fentanyl poisoning. The article from Dr. John C. Hagen III said, Russia has already gotten the ball rolling by using a fentanyl derivative as a chemical weapon. In October 2022, the Russian military reportedly used the drug as an incapacitating agent during an alleged hostage scenario in a Moscow theater. After deploying the weaponized opioid derivative, 127 hostages died, according to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. It goes on to say, and I quote, I think fentanyl proliferation is one of the top long-term national security threats the U.S. is facing. Fentanyl is deadly, highly addictive, difficult to detect, and ubiquitous. It can be easily mistaken for another drug, even for a non-narcotic substance. National security lawyers and analyst Irina Tuskerman told the Epoch Times. Last year, multiple state attorney generals and Republican legislators passed the administration of Joe Biden to label fentanyl, or push the administration of Joe Biden to label fentanyl as a weapon of mass destruction. The White House announced plans to spend $450 million on prevention, harm reduction, treatment, and recovery support services related to America's fentanyl crisis, and another $800 million to reduce the influx of illegal opioids into the country. But for people working up close and personal with America's opioid epidemic, fentanyl's devastating consequences aren't just numbers on paper. The drug is destroying families, healthcare workers, and law enforcement resources. Illicit fentanyl is plaguing our communities, and our law enforcement officers are on the front lines fighting the crisis. The top issue of our officers is that they do not have enough resources to handle the exponential increase of overdoses. Representative Don Newhouse said in a June 30 press release. Give me a second to see if I want to read all of this. Yeah, this one is pretty deep. All right, I'll read like 2 more paragraphs and then close this one out. It says, stopping the flow. The flow of illicit fentanyl coming across America's southern border also intersects with the ongoing illegal immigration crisis. During a July 19th House Committee on Homeland Security, Mark Green, representative of Tennessee, underscored how Mexican cartels use illegal immigrants to distract U.S. border agents. Cartels purposefully overwhelm Border Patrol agents with illegal crossers in one area as a distraction so that they can smuggle aliens or drugs across in areas just vacated by those agents, Mr. Green said. America's border security officials have confirmed that this emphasizing the need for more resources to simultaneously tackle the unabated flow of illegal fentanyl and border crossers. Mr. Tuskerman agrees the U.S. opioid epidemic is being compounded by illegal immigrants and the number of unvetted people, including criminals, as well as those on the terror watch list arriving from Latin America. Such groups are vulnerable to penetration and are also more likely to contribute to the disruption of fentanyl in the communities where they're located, she said. Ms. Tuskerman, Salakia Samis, Ms. Tuskerman says solutions must involve an awareness campaign. Both Dr. Lowenstein, that's a small hat, and Dr. Sultan agrees with this. Public education on the risk posed by illicit drug use and the availability of fentanyl test strips and naloxone can be life-saving, Dr. Lowenstein said. I'm gonna end it there, but you see the stark difference between what's going on with them and this opioid crisis in comparison to what happened with us in the past. As you know, Jake starts to wean himself to the spirit and power of the Most High off of these drugs by and large. Is now shifting on Esau and Amalek, right? And now it's a national security issue. I could almost, not almost, I can guarantee you, if this was a drug that was killing black people and brown people in droves, this report would have never happened. It would never be considered a weapon of mass destruction. Only one or two politicians pondering to a black voter base would even probably bring this up, you know. But I'll end the article there, brothers. If y'all want to chime in with anything, then y'all got it. But I yield for now. So KB, you could take the floor. Oh, Shalom, GK, and Mike. But KB, you got it. I yield.
No. I think it was a good article, man. Especially following up what the sister said yesterday. Oh, Salakia, I didn't even know if I'm on mute. Salakia. I think it was a very good article, especially following up what the sister said yesterday. You know, how this opioid crisis, especially fentanyl, is affecting their population, and that's why it's such a problem now, right? As long as these curses have been on us, especially, that flooded our communities with drugs and guns, and which leads to all types of things, comes from just the traffic of guns and drugs to our community, prostitution, human trafficking, um you know uh all types of crimes. It's now affected them in a huge way, and this is the Most High putting the curses back on them, as our people start to wake up. So you know that's why you have people like even Donald Trump talking about it. You have a damn dope fiend that's in the White House right now, and his father supported that habit, right? But this was a man that launched basically a war on our people for the things that his people actually inflicted on us. So yeah, it's heavy, especially how this fentanyl has been taking hold, and they have been using the cartels, with the influx of this, because believe me, these cartels are funded by the United States, but they want to really, try to, they really want to pin that on everyone else, and this is basically their works coming back on them. The Most High putting their works back on them. So definitely a good article, man, and I hope it continues. I hope our, all these things be removed from our people, and as believe it's Revelations 18 talks about that she's rewarded double for the sins that she have done, right? But yeah, that's all I really got. If anybody else got any domestic they want to get into, feel free. Floor is open. And I saw those that you put back there, GK. I actually had some similar too, so I did see those.
If you want to go ahead and well, I can get to it in a few minutes. But if you want to go ahead and whatever you got similar, bring it out.
Before go in on that, can I hold the crown for 1 second and just bring out one more? Because I think after this I might be on the quiet for a while. Right? So let me just drop this one in and go back to you, brother. Still out here. So this one is almost like a hybrid article because it's domestic and international simultaneously, right? But I had to bring it up, and maybe this could be a good link piece for whatever brothers have to bring out when we make that transition. But I found this, another controversial figure in the Edomite community right now, Tucker Carlson. Right? He had to sit down and he expressed his concerns about the U.S. possibly going into another war, this time with Iran, right? Let's get into it. He had some interesting things to say because I kind of glazed over it earlier, but I'm gonna bring it to you now. Hold on, KB. Let me do this one quick. All right. So the article reads: Tucker Carlson. It looks like we're going to war with Iran. Are we ready for this? Right, KB. If you will, the same article that I have posted. You think you'd be able to play the video on that Tucker on X video that's there embedded into this article?
Khan, you want to play?
You'd be able to play that for me when I'm ready for it?
Yeah, whenever you're ready, you let me know.
No, I don't want to play it just yet. I just want to get into a couple of things that he said.
Yeah, I said let me know when you're ready,
and then get into playing that.
Yeah, let me know when you're ready.
Con. So what? All right. So it says, and this is from him. This is a quote from him. Looks like we're going to war with Iran. Are we ready for this? Tucker Carlson asked. McGregor then described the potential sequence that would lead to World War III, pointing out that attacking Iran would bring in Russia, right? The TGP reports that Iran has repeatedly threatened the United States after his proxy army, Hamas, launched a terror attack on Israel and killed more than 1,300 Jews. It pains me to say that. Last Wednesday night, missiles were fired at the USS Canary, a U.S. naval destroyer on the coast of Yemen in the Red Sea. According to the U.S. officials, the missiles were launched by an Iranian-backed Houthi militants in Yemen. Approximately 2 to 3 missiles were intercepted. On Saturday, Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin announced a series of actions aimed at bolstering the United States military presence in the Middle East after missiles were launched at a U.S. Navy destroyer by Iranian-backed militants. Over the weekend, Secretary of State Anthony Blinken admitted that the Biden regime is concerned about the escalation with Iran. In fact, and I quote, "We expect that there's a likelihood of escalation by Iranian proxies directed against our forces, directed against our personnel." Tucker Carlson said it appears war with Iran is imminent. Right, so I'm gonna start right there because I think most of the quotes that I'm going to go into now may be a part of his speech in the video. So KB, if you could play that for me, Baba, sure.
Con.
We seem to be heading to war with Iran. Certainly, the Biden administration is pushing us in that direction. What's new and interesting and ominous is that very few Republicans, the opposition party, are pushing back.
Oh,
Instead,
Salakia.
some of the party's leaders are.
Salakia, I was on mute. My bad.
Here, for example,
let me go back.
We seem to be heading to war.
Yeah, con.
Certainly, the administration is pushing us in that direction. What's new and interesting and ominous, we seem to be heading to war with Iran. Certainly, the Biden administration is pushing us in that direction. What's new and interesting and ominous is that very few Republicans, the opposition party, are pushing back. Instead, some of the party's leaders are encouraging it. Here, for example, is Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina from last weekend on NBC.
You said this week that the only way to keep the war from escalating is to hold Iran accountable, part of what you're talking about now, and that it might mean bombing their oil refineries. Yeah. Have you had any discussions with the Biden administration about this?
A bit. Here's my message. If Hezbollah, which is a proxy of Iran, launches a massive attack on Israel, I would consider that a threat to the state of Israel, existential in nature. I will introduce a resolution in the United States Senate to allow military action by the United States in conjunction with Israel to knock Iran out of the oil business. Iran, if you escalate this war, we're coming for you.
Are you effectively poised to declare war on Iran? That's very strong language.
I am poised to use military force to destroy the source of funding for Hamas and Hezbollah.
No, that's Lindsey Graham. A few others in the Republican Party will be that open about their intentions, but very few disagree with him. Certainly not in private. They agree. So what would war with Iran mean? Well, it's hard to know because virtually no one who's talking about it in public is operating from a deep interest in America's interest. Is this good for us or is it not? Former Colonel Douglas McGregor is the CEO of Our Country, Our Choice, and one of the first people we turn to for analysis of events like this because he is interested in what happens to the United States. He joins us now. Doug, thank you for coming on. Do you think that we are moving toward war with Iran?
Yes, I do. And it looks like the chosen destination is indeed Armageddon. There doesn't seem to be any real appreciation for the implications for us and frankly, for Europe and the world, as well as the Middle East, of such action. You know, take for an example, just on the economic side, about 20% of the world's oil passes through the Straits of Hormuz every month. Probably 25% of liquefied natural gas. And you're talking about shutting down 2 to 3 million barrels a day of oil from Iran. This entire region is involved in the war. This is not an Iranian monopoly by any stretch of the imagination. But the point is that when we're looking at 10-year treasury yields up over 5%, and people are increasingly convinced that the Fed has lost control, the economic side of the house is a catastrophe. Then when you look at the military side, you have to look at the arsenal of missiles that Iran possesses. And they can reach out 1,200 miles with great precision, very high explosive conventional warheads that would do enormous damage, destroying whole city blocks in places like Haifa, Tel Aviv, even Jerusalem, though I doubt they would attack Jerusalem. The bottom line is that we need to think this through, and everyone right now is emojing. There is no thinking anywhere, as far as I can tell. The only possible exception may be, amazingly enough, Mr. Erdogan in Turkey, who came out this morning and indicated he was willing to mediate the dispute between Israel and Hamas. Whether or not anyone in Washington or Israel is interested in talking, I don't know. But if we could sideline Turkey and keep Turkey out of the fight, that would ultimately help Israel enormously.
So what would happen to the United States if we followed Senator Graham's advice and just began bombing critical infrastructure in Iran? What would happen then?
Well, all of the bases that we have in Iraq and Syria, unfortunately, where we still have over 1,000 Americans, all of those would be targeted. And this time they would target them accurately, and this destruction would be wholesale. I would expect trouble here at home and in the United States because of the open border. Hezbollah has a very large operation in Mexico. There are no doubt many Hezbollah agents inside the United States. We can only begin to imagine the kind of trouble they could cause. The missile and space program in Iran is very advanced, as is their cyber warfare capability. All of these things would be brought to bear against us. But what's most important, I think, for Americans to understand is if we attack Iran on the basis of Hezbollah's alleged willingness to attack Israel if Israel invades Gaza, we will end up in a fight with Russia. Russia will not sit by quietly and watch Iran destroyed by the United States air and naval power in the region. And once Russia enters this, it becomes much more than just a local conflict, maybe more than just a regional war. We haven't thought this through. We need to do that. And I doubt seriously at that point that the Turks would be able to stay out. The Turks are Sunni Muslims. They are the de facto leaders of the Sunni Muslim world. They have the largest armed forces in the region. They are in close proximity to Israel. They could move forces south through Syria very rapidly. And I'm sure Bashar al-Assad, assuming he even survives the opening of this campaign, would not obstruct them.
So many questions, but just to back up one click, you described Iran's missile arsenal, but Iran is a country that's been the subject of a very intense sanction regime from the United States, increased by the last president, Donald Trump. But for a long time, how is Iran still such a powerful country militarily given those sanctions? It sounds like maybe they didn't work.
Oh, no, I think that's an important point, Tucker, and you're absolutely right. We place so much value on these sanctions and assume that they have this profound impact. Normally, sanctions harm the population in terms of lowering its standard of living, making life more difficult for the everyday citizen, but it doesn't fundamentally alter the policy or the goals and objectives of the government. And this is something that I don't think we understand. The same thing is true for Hamas and Gaza. You know, you want to go after Hamas. You want to destroy it. I think everyone with a sound mind is interested in the destruction of Hamas. But do you want to kill hundreds of thousands of people in order to get at Hamas? That's the question. We have the same problem in Iran. Our sanctions have not harmed the regime's ability to develop and build very complex and sophisticated missiles. These missiles are very accurate now. There are hundreds, if not thousands. And the long-range missiles, the 1,200-mile range theater ballistic missiles, are a very serious threat to us in the region and to Israel. And the sanctions have had no impact there. If anything, the Iranians have pulled together the best human capital in their country, the best engineers, the best thinkers, and put them to work primarily on missile technology and on cyber warfare. And that's where we stand right now. We have to expect the worst as a result if we strike Iran.
We could cut it there. Bruh. So, I'm going to give that devil, a shout out, right? That's probably the last wise man in Eden. He's steady. He's thinking logically about the approach. If it were to happen, he's looking at all the angles. He doesn't seem to be driven by, the amount of money that could be made out of this campaign, like that was Chuck Schumer. It was played at the beginning, talking about, if you do this to Israel, we're coming after you. Chuck Schumer just wants a check.
That was Lindsey Graham.
Oh, Lindsey Graham, Salakia. Lindsey Graham just wants a check, right? The Water King. He's been at the forefront of most of these geopolitical confrontations that the U.S. is involved in, just chucking it along, right? Not being an offense to anything when it comes to warfare on the Republican side that the Democrats are doing. He just wants a check. He couldn't give a shit. But this devil is actually thinking about it. If we do this, this is going to happen. And you hear how they talk about Turkey in the way that they do. If we sideline Turkey, we could possibly keep them out of the fight. This is why they, the United States kind of endorsed Turkey when it comes to, the geopolitical playing field, because they know if they were to upset Turkey in any way, it could have devastating effects for Israel, right? Which is why they've kind of been the buffer between Turkey and Israel for a long time. And they continue to be like that, even with the developing relationship with Turkey and Russia. The United States may talk about sanctions, but they still tread carefully with that because they know Turkey is vital in that region, right? But this wasn't meant to be an international peace. It was meant to be a domestic piece, just based on the origin of it. Tucker Carlson and him talking to a U.S. colonel about it. And, but listen to the way these devils are talking. They're concerned. They're shook. This ain't, they know what's coming. This ain't, Iran is not Iraq, right? You're not going to go in there, do a shock and awe campaign, be in there for 10, 15 years with a back and forth war with a country that barely has a uniformed army, right? Going into Iran is a devastating effect to the world, right? And if they do it, then we know that it's definitely intentional. Because listen to what he was talking about first, and I'll yield right after this. The 20 billion barrels of oil, or the 2 billion, whatever it was, per day, that being cut off is going to have a devastating effect on the economy. Right now, oil sits at about $88 a barrel, right? If this were to happen with a country that provides almost 20% to 25% of the world's oil, you're looking at $150 to $200 a barrel easily. Because, as big as Russia is, they won't be able, and the sanctions that are on them now, they won't be able to supply world demand. Nigeria's not going to be able to do it. And I'm sure, Abu Dhabi, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia are going to stick to their prices, whatever they price it at. Right? So if they price $250, they're going to stick to that shit. And Russia being a part of OPEC is going to, respond in kind. So Iran is not Syria and it's not Iraq at all. This is going to affect the world on a grand scale the minute they go in and it happens, right? Economically, every country is going to feel it, right? But y'all got it.
Con. I could have went on to listen to the rest of that, man. I know it was pushing like 8 minutes, but everything that that damn devil was saying, when it goes into the wise men of Edom, right? They're not listening to the men of those wise men of Edom. So like them, where it says that the wise men of Edom have like departed or have left, that they're not being listened to. It's not the fact that it's not of them. It's many of them that know their destruction is nigh, and they're telling them, but they don't have the ears of the ones that are actually calling the shots of Edom. And like the things that devil was saying, we've been saying all along, that the sanctions haven't worked, right? That Iran has, continued to prosper through the technology and the relationship. I think, as we were saying yesterday, the relationship of, of China, the relationship of Russia, right? Look at all of these countries now with the weaponry that they have in the United States. I think GK brought out an article yesterday of showing that how China is on, they're on 2.0 of the hypersonic missiles, right? America is not even on their first iteration of it. You know what I'm saying? So you have in North Korea, Kim Jong-un is talking about total destruction of, United States ships, or should they place anything with Japan? Should they place anything with South Korea? They're talking about that. And mind you, which we have an article today somewhere in the back chat of him shaking hands with South Korean president. So, these are things that the United States doesn't want. Their worst fears are being realized, that the Most High is bringing these nations together, right? Nations that the Babylon has kept as enemies for the longest time, right? Iran has been fighting a lot of these nations that's now becoming friendly, and Turkey has been pivotal in repairing of these relationships. Russia has been pivotal in repairing these relationships. China has been pivotal in repairing these relationships, all to bring these nations to work together to, kind of supersize their arsenal and go up against the United States. And as he said about Lindsey Graham, this damn devil, right? This trash from South Carolina. South Carolina produces a lot of damn, trash that goes to Washington D.C. I'm gonna just say it. My mom, my mom actually called, South Carolina the asshole of America, because it produces a lot of shit that heads to Washington D.C. Right? Sorry for those that live in South Carolina, but yeah, it's a lot of damn that Tim Scott, that damn Lindsey Graham. It's a lot of that. What's the other one? The damn the Elamite one that's running for president. I can't even think of her name. She was the governor. But it's a lot of them, and he's a war hawk. He's someone that, they shout war, and bombardment, but when all hell hits the fan, they're not going to be one that goes to war. They're going to be hiding somewhere in a bunker, right? Those are the ones that you're going to pull from that the mighty man is going to pull from the rocks, right? They're going to hide in the clefts. So the shit that he's saying, he's not part of, he's the ones that's, it's always been those that have cheered on the war. And, when destruction happens, then they want to walk it back. Right? You have something else, Azriel?
I just wanted to ask you quick, how much time do we have left on that piece, that video you were playing?
Let me see. I don't think I removed it. It was probably a good bit. I think it was around it's a good bit. It's more than 10 minutes left.
It's more than 10 minutes left.
Yeah, that video. It says that video is 19 minutes. So I implore people to go look at it, man. They got the article I put in the chat. You check that out, because it has everything that we've been talking about in it. That devil said a lot, right? It's a lot to unpack, the things that he said, just about even, and I'm gonna let you get back in there, Azrael. Even the things that he said about the targets that they would take, right? Accurately, because the things that they've been shooting recently, those have been like warnings. They've been sending one-way drones and things like that to attack on the Syria bases. Assad and Syria allowing them to come through, and that goes back into that Jeremiah 51:26, so like at 27, which talks about Turkey turning, right? Because Turkey has been, kind of being, of course, they're, top in the Muslim world, but they have been kind of neutral. They're the only Arab nation part of NATO. So they've been able to foster peace, even though they've been treated like shit from the European Union. They have still been able to, they've been used by the European Union and NATO to foster relationships in the Arab world. And once they lose that with Turkey, they have no medium to go to. So that's important that, they try to stay on Turkey's good side, right? Go ahead, King.
I don't know if the room will allow it or the brothers on stage, but I think we should go at least, 2 more minutes or 3 more minutes into that piece right there, because I have a feeling that something that he's going to say is going to link to something I want to bring out in international later. So if you could, let's do another 2 minutes, please.
All right, let me grab. Okay, give me 1 second.
how is the U.S. military, do you think, having spent your life in it, leading troops in combat and at the Pentagon, positioned to respond to war with Iran right now? Are we in a strong position or not, in your view?
No, I don't think we're in a strong position. I think we're probably at the weakest point in our recent history. I think you've got to look at the realities of new weapon systems, new capabilities. The United States Navy, if it's going to preserve its capability at sea, is probably going to be compelled to operate somewheres north and west of Sicily. If it comes within closer range, then it falls into this envelope where the Iranians can strike it. And as I said before, we have to assume the Russians will come into this. Once you move into the Eastern Mediterranean, you are vulnerable to the Kinshal missiles and other missiles, cruise missiles and hypersonic missiles that the Russians have. This makes it very difficult to fly strikes in support of the Israeli Defense Force against Hezbollah, because now you're flying a very long distance. You deliver your ordnance, you have to land in Israel in order to refuel. Israel is going to operate under a hail, if not a rainstorm, of missiles and rockets, making it very, very dangerous to do so. So our naval power, while substantial, may not have the desired impact on the ground that we would like. And then finally, we have no real army anymore. The army is down to perhaps, 450,000. How much of that is ready to fight is open to debate. Much of it is sitting in Eastern Europe right now. We don't have the means to rapidly ship a large force of 80 to 100,000 troops on the ground into the region, which means that we're reliant on special forces and right now 2,000 Marines and perhaps 2,000 special forces and special operations forces. That's not going to make much of a dent. And as we've seen quite recently within the last 24 hours or so, some of our special ops forces and Israeli special ops forces went into Gaza to reconnoiter, to plan for where they might want to go to free hostages and make an impact. And they were shot to pieces and took heavy losses, as I understand it. I think that's where we're headed. And I don't see that as a win for Israel in any way, shape, or form. And I certainly think it's very dangerous for us. You know, as I've tried to point out to a number of people, until Britain entered World War I, it was just another European war. Once Britain entered it, it became a global war. Well, once we are a co-belligerent, we enter this thing, it's going to be very difficult for Russia and Turkey not to also come into this fight against us, because they will not tolerate the sort of collective punishment that Israel plans for Gaza.
The U.S. military does have an awful lot of generals, however, as you pointed out, multiples of the number we had, the absolute number we had during World War II. And they're paid to think about this stuff. Why has it dawned on no one, apparently, who's spoken publicly anyway, that this could really harm our country gravely? Why is no one saying that?
Well, I'm sure there are people in the U.S. military who are aware, but let's be frank. Most of the people at the top of the military have never operated under artillery fire or rocket fire. They haven't seen direct fire combat. They haven't seen real war per se. Remember, we've had the luxury of sitting around forward operating bases and striking opponents that were armed with AK-47s and command detonated mines, an occasional mortar or rocket. Very, very low intensity combat. This is a high-end conventional war that we're looking at with the potential to go nuclear, which...
Yeah, so we got a lot of stories to get to, but yeah, I played a good portion of it.
The water for that.
Yeah, no doubt.
But the Jesse's on the stage. You got a comment on? Yeah, what's up? What's up? Shalom. You got something to say, Jesse? I saw you raise your hand earlier. I gave you an invite to come up. Okay, come.
Okay. All right, Khan. So, yeah, man, I think a lot was said in there. I think that he brings up the points of, the military, right? That's something that we talked about extensively, is that, they don't even have enough soldiers to even fight, let alone, um, the hearts of a lot of these soldiers is not even in it right now. You know what I'm saying? That's just, compared to these other nations, they just don't, even an article that I think that GK brought yesterday about, them even wanting to, America, they don't have faith even in Israel to ground game. That's why this ground assault has been held up, that they're not ready. I think one of the things that they talked about today was possibly they floated the idea of flooding the tunnels over there in Gaza, which is that's not going to help their position to do. But all of these things, it's just really looking like, everything that they want to do as far as going forward, it's really not in their favor, right? And this will be, usually we wouldn't have to be talking all of these things, these strategies and what they're going to do. It would just be bomb, bomb, bomb. That's always been the America's mentality, is that, they're already to launch their assault. They're going forward with it. Remember, they've been just saying that there's no daylight between the United States and Israel, but yet all we're hearing is that, all these things are being considered, and Israel needs to hold up, to what they're doing, to take more, credence to what they're doing before they do it, because the United States don't even, they don't want to be, caught up in this, this whirlwind that could open up over there. So, that was definitely a good article. Definitely a good clip. That guy, he said a lot. I am familiar with him, and they're not listening to the wise men and Edom. They're not. They're not at all. I wanted to read this regarding just what he said about the military. This is the book of Jeremiah 51. Jeremiah 51 is just, that whole chapter, you could relate to everything that's going on. That's prophecy, right? Salakia. Let me go to it. This is Jeremiah 51 and 30. The mighty men of Babylon have forborne to fight. They have remained in their holes. Their might have failed. They became as women. They have burned her dwelling places. Her bars are broken, right? And that really going into just the point of, this is going to be fearful of, their military is not ready for this battle, right? They're not going to be ready for this, this war that's coming. So, it's so much precepts we could go into that, regarding that, just that clip that you played. But I mean, this whole chapter 27, going into Turkey and even Ukraine, it was a really good piece. But I yield.
If you could, for me, I posted. I think that's the last thing to be posted in the bot chat. Could you post that real quick, and then I'll end my domestic, and I'll wait for you guys to take it into international. Just to go along with what the colonel saying about the U.S. military not being, because he went into some detail, right? He said you have about 450,000 eligible. We don't know how many of that is ready. That could be a debate on that. He talked about the Marines going into Gaza somewhere to the tune of 2,000 and being utterly wasted in Gaza. So,
hold on one second. Which one is it?
The very last one is talking about military obesity, right? Just go and talk what he's talking about the 450,000 available. How many of them are really ready to be, or battle ready, or to go into warfare right away?
Oh, we had covered that the other day. about
We good?
yeah, about the why they're unless it's extensive, we covered why their numbers is so low, and it talked about obesity, that most of them don't qualify because they're obese. But if it talks more extensively about that, I could still bring it out.
Yeah, let me just see if you feel like it's along the lines of what you heard before, then we could wrap it up. But
Let me see. Oh, I got it right here. Salakia.
water.
Give me
But,
one.
this is important because, like he said before, and he went into the exact same conversation I always go into when it comes to U.S. military declaring war on a nation that isn't formidable, right? He talked about, we had the luxury of a long time ago going against people with just an AK-47, but this shit is different, so to speak, right? He didn't say it, use those exact words, but that's what he's saying. Iran is not Iraq. This ain't, some insurgents running out of the hills with an AK, driving on a Mitsubishi pickup truck like you would see in the movies with a rocket launcher attack now. So I don't think America's going to be ready on more than just one front. But let's just get into the article real quick. It reads, military obesity rates soar, compounding recruitment challenges. Services still struggling to find eligible applicants to meet the physical requirements for enlistment, right? And before I even continue, don't forget the period where, the U.S. military was embracing this wokeness shit before all of the shit really started to hit the fan, right? They kind of lowered the standards for physical requirements to enter into the military or the armed forces, and that came back. That didn't age well at all. That came back to bite them in the ass royally, right? But it says obesity rates amongst active duty service members doubled in the past decade, and adequate policies and incomplete data have complicated efforts to combat the trend. According to a new report from the American Security Project, military obesity rates across the active duty jumped 10.4% in 2012 to 21.6% in 2022. According to the study, the findings, which were released on October 12th, this mirrors a national trend that shrunk the military's recruitment pool and led to billions of dollars in associated healthcare costs. Today, 68% of active duty service members are either overweight or obese. 68%. That's more than half, bro. And eating disorders in the military increased by approximately 79% between 2017 and 2021, the report said. Although obesity in the U.S. and the military is not new, the seemingly rapid increase in the rate of overweight troops could renew concerns over military readiness, and obesity is a primary contributor to in-service injuries and medical discharges, the report said. Furthermore, the report found that military inconsistent use of body mass index data and social stigmas surrounding the treatment of obesity are hampering efforts to combat it. Meaning, our wokeness is catching up with us and it's biting us in the ass. That's what they're saying, right? Because now you can't tell a soldier they're fat because that's fat shaming and all this different bullshit that they sign on to, right? It says, according to the report, the armed forces should treat obesity as a chronic disease. The Department of Defense influence over the active duty environment allows it to successfully mitigate this crisis by applying evidence-based treatments and controlling contributing factors such as diet, exercise, sleep, and stress, author Courtney Manning wrote. The findings are a part of a broader national trend that has also shrunk the military's recruitment pool, and the services struggle to find eligible applicants who meet physical requirements for enlistment. In April, General Randy A. George, then Army's Vice Chief of Staff, and Admiral Lisa M. Trinchetti the vice chief of the Naval Operations told members of the House Armed Force Readiness Subcommittee that the Army and Navy and Air Force will not hit their enlistment goals this year. George has since been confirmed as the Army's Chief of Staff, while Francetti has been nominated to become the next CNO. The Army fell about 15,000 soldiers, or 25% short of its recruitment goal in 2022, but was able to improve that situation for the fiscal year ending in 2023, ending the year with nearly 55,000 recruiting contracts. The stretch goal for the fiscal 2023 was 65,000, so they still fell 15,000 shy of that goal. The Air Force sought to recruit 26,877 new airmen in fiscal 2023, but fell short by nearly 2,700 people, and the Navy missed its goal of 37,700 new sailors by 7,450. And according to a December 2020 report from the Congressional Research Services, disqualifications from joining the military based on inability to meet established weight and standards has steadily risen since the 1970s. Lawmakers are certainly aware of the issue and have held numerous hearings on the military's recruitment woes. Washington Democrat Marilyn Strickland, a member of the House Armed Forces Committee, said in an October 13 email that obesity is a quality of life issue that must be addressed to ensure an agile fighting force. I am encouraged that the department is seeking innovative ways such as Army holistic health and fitness systems and the future soldier prep course to ensure that we maintain standards and fitness health, Strickland said. Right? Mm-hmm. That's the end of the article. And even, the mere fact that they have to sugarcoat and powder and candy up this whole thing when it comes to enlistment is a telltale sign that they just don't have it, bro. I doubt that Russia needs to be as, white glove in this approach when it comes to recruitment, or China, for that matter. But, America, because of the wokeness and the shit that they have the armed forces sign on to, this is how they have to combat it, right? They have to talk about creating future soldier prep courses, and we don't want to demonize fat people too much. We don't want to fat shame. So they restricted themselves. The military is supposed to be a harsh branch because you're dealing with death, right? That's what it is. When you sign up, you strap on those boots, you put that long gun in your hand, you are dealing with the possibility of not coming back alive. So things don't need to be sugarcoated. You too fat, you can't enter. Get in shape, simple as that. But America can't move like that because of what they've done to their own society and the brainwashing that they've done ultimately. But KB, you got it. I yield. If y'all have anything you want to add, feel free. But that's my last
one. Hey, I just wanted to comment on that. You're right. I was in the military. When I first got out of high school, and they did fat shame in basic training. I had to run. I was the guide on, which was the flag bearer in basic training. So I had to, at night, when I should have been asleep, take fat boys and lazy white boys and run them around the track, and they had to keep up with me because I was the flag bearer, which means I had to run faster than everybody else or jog faster than everybody else. I had to train them, and they would fat shame them and call them fat boys, stuff like that. But they eventually got into shape. So I also wanted to add, the U.S. military also has a bunch of effeminate people in the military now, in the U.S. military. You don't find that in China. You're not going to find that in Russia, because we know Vladimir Putin at the top of the year said that the West was turning everyone opposite of what the Bible says. He said that the West was turning everybody gay, and that they weren't gonna, stand for that. They couldn't bring that to Russia. So you're not gonna find it. You're not gonna find those effeminate spirits in those other armies, and all of this obesity. Yeah, that's a good article.
So what? And that's the fact. The fact of the matter is war is a serious endeavor, right? You're talking about people risking their lives to combat whatever ideology, whatever threat towards life or lifestyle. The shit that America did back in the 90s and early 2000s, right? The thank you for your service and protecting my freedoms, that bullshit that they kind of spewed to the people for a long period of time, even though they were going after their own endeavors. But regardless of that fact, when you're talking about war, you have to be serious and candid. There should be no sugarcoating, which is why they were successful in those days. When they started to embrace this woke ideology and this transgenderism and the rainbow gang agenda and all this different bullshit, this is when they started to experience these type of wars. And I think it's only going to get worse. All right, but y'all got.
Yes, Salaki, I didn't even know I was unmuted. But the article that we brought out, I don't know if you was here on I believe it was Monday. It talked about 77. Now your article, it says 65% of them was obese, right?
Yeah, I think it says 68.
Or 68. Okay. It said it said 77. An article that I said I brought out of the armed forces was ineligible, right? And it was due to not just obesity, but it was also mental illness, as also drug use, right? Up to 77%. So, that's a huge number, right? 77% of all the armed forces. Got I think as well 68% is obese. The other percentage is drug use. We already talked about the opioid crisis, and let alone mental illness in this place, right? We got a bunch of damn, crazies running around here with everything that's going on, right? So that's not good numbers by no means, especially for the most elite fighting force in the world. Remember Biden, I'm gonna hold his words. He says they're the greatest nation of ever on in the world at any given time. Salakia on the earth. I think of that little Edomite kid that says, bullshit in the back of the car, like when that's him saying that, right? That's it's,
yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, like him saying that at this time, and it's laughable, when you have these numbers. And hey, Shalom King. And not to mention, I don't know if y'all mentioned it, they dropped the requirements of, GK said he was a flag bearer. They don't even have to do push-ups anymore. They can literally do the woman push-ups. They don't have to run no more. They can actually, what do they call it? What do they call it?
Sprint walk?
Yeah, sprint walking, right? That's what they can do now. They don't have to run anymore. How are you doing this when you have, I know y'all seen, what you say, King?
Yes, bro. They took away running.
Yeah.
They said they replaced that shit with sprint walking.
Sprint walking.
So walk as fast.
Yeah. No push-ups.
No push-ups. The women push-ups on your knees.
Right.
Bro.
Right.
So you can't. You can't.
Military is that?
A bullshit military, bro. And I think America is suffering from an enemy within, right? Because only an enemy within would allow those things to pass, but not having, all of these military experts that they have. If you listen to the last wise Edomite that we listened to today, right, earlier, and he talked about the capabilities of the U.S. and what they have. They listen to men like that. There's no way that a man like that, who's hard in the military, has all that military experience, would sit back and say, yeah, we could allow women push-ups for the men. We could allow sprint walking as a criteria and do away with the ability to be able to run for 5 minutes or 10 minutes. It's complete bullshit.
Hey, Salaki,
go ahead.
You know, have you seen the videos of the Chinese
I was
shooting?
just about to say that, GK. I was just about to
They
say.
learn how to fight. The girls do man push-ups.
You see
They
that?
do all kind of shit at 5 years old.
Yep.
Bro, I was just, did you see the video of the it was somewhere in I want to say one of them Asian countries where they was doing, like, they was crawling on their belly, and they had a person in the tower shooting at them while they was crawling, live rounds. Like, this is the things that these militaries is dealing with, right? And they took away the what is it, the pull-ups. You know, you had to do the pull-up bar. They took away that. You don't have to do that no more. You don't have to do nothing strenuous, nothing that would basically identify. Remember, they used to have the I know y'all remember this. They used to have the Iron Man competition between the men. They took that away.
Damn.
So this was I think this was the actually last year of it that they took that away. So it's no longer the Iron Man competition, right?
If you go on TikTok for 5 minutes, you just scroll for 5 minutes, you guaranteed to come across a U.S. military personnel dressed in drag or doing some awkward shit on TikTok, bro. So this is what they promote. You know, it's not about men being fit and ready for warfare anymore, but you know how much makeup you could put on and dress up like a woman. This is the type of shit that they want in their military. Meanwhile, Russia and China are having soldiers break bricks over their head. You know, niggas are doing suicide kicks on the top of like 3 different people standing in the line. They're doing like a super leap. Niggas are getting ready for actual war, and America's about to get slaughtered if they continue with this bullshit as it relates to the army and the conditioning, bro. That's the fox of the month. You got it, GK.
All praise to the Most High.
Hey, I always want to play this, man. You know, anytime we have this conversation about the military, I always want to play this clip, man, because I think this clip kind of identifies, you know, it basically it summarizes what's going on in the, you know, with the military and the sign up, you know, what just the morale and what these children are signing up, because that's what they're talking about. You know, they're talking about, you know, the youth. That's your fighter force, is the youth of your nation, right? So this is that clip that I had of, you know, why did you join the military? I'm talking to young people that you know signed up for the military. Hopefully y'all can hear it. Hold on, hopefully it's clear. Hold on. Now, you think that fighting force is ready to die for this country?
Not a fucking day like it, bro. No. You had 3 of them said that they joined for free food. 1 joined so she could get pregnant and be able to take care of a kid, right, bro? It's over with. It's done.
They not playing. They not playing Notorious B.I.G. Ready to Die. They're not playing that, man. They're not playing that. You know, that's what them other countries is playing in their own language, right? Because they want to die for, you know, they want to die for country. Them Russian soldiers, them damn Japanese soldiers that you see, you know, chopping up bricks. You see them North Korean soldiers. I mean, that's all they live for. You know.
Yeah, that North Korean army is scary, bro. Yeah.
You got it, King. Elder, you want to say something? I saw him on mic. I thought he wanted to add something. All right, we could move forward, man. We could go on for days about that, man. We need to just have like a room, a podcast about the the United States chances in winning a war. That need to be the title. We're gonna have to open up a Twitter Spaces room regarding that.
I'm gonna jot that down. I'm gonna jot that down for sure.
Yeah, the United States. We'll fix a good catchy title. But
I don't know what happened now, but
okay.
yeah, you're absolutely right. These guys is dying for a belief, right? Well, we know it's wrong, and the Most High says He should send them a strong delusion, so they should believe a lie. So a lot of people's under a strong delusion to believe a lie. So we know what the Arabs is doing. We know that that's wrong, right? But in their mindset, it's not. They willing to die because they believe they dying for their God, Allah. So they dying for a belief system, as opposed to the American is just dying to keep a lifestyle going of entertainment and sex and party and drugs. Is a totally different. So, they got the advantage when it comes to that, sure.
And real quick before we move along, I just realized too why there's even these people that wanted to join the military and, the millennials and the Generation X and shit like that. Because America has had it so good for so long on the battlefield, right? They won these campaigns in spectacular fashion. I mean, even though they dragged it on long because of the warmongers who wanted to have, that $180 million a day and shells and all of this different shit, they won those wars in spectacular fashion. The shock and awe campaign that they did with Iraq was enough to end it there, right? But of course, they wanted to stay to have that money continually flowing in. These experiences that they had in the past are not the warfare of today, bro. They're not going to do that with Iran. They're not going to do that with China. They're not going to do that with Russia. But people believe, and that's the strong delusion that the elder is talking about. They have faith in Egypt or have faith in the U.S. so much that they believe that their military is the best in the world. They're undefeatable on the battlefield, and there's no way that they're going to lose. That's the delusion. But, there's a rude awakening coming for these people that feel like that, because they know nothing about hard battle, like real warfare, because they've been so, in such a cozy position for so long when it comes to the battlefield, fighting people with AK-47s and, like I said, a Mitsubishi truck with a rocket launcher or a gun rail on the back of it. Those days are fucking over, bro. But
and real quick, that's why they so scared for that ground war. Because they know ground. See, they're going to try to send, like I say, robots or whatever, but they know eventually they have to go. They have to go in and deal with the person one-on-one, face-to-face, and they know that that's almost suicide. Go in there and try to get them out of them caves. They've been preparing for this war for years. So they have them caves buried in there. They know it's going to be suicide for them to do that. That's why they keep delaying it. And every day you hear they get ready to go and but they do not want to go in. They really don't. They're not prepared to die.
Shalom, Jake.
Shalom.
Okay, I see you have your article pinned.
Yeah, this is actually GK's article. I actually got some clips for it. But GK, you in position to read it, or you want me to read it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm part.
Okay, I'm gonna pass you the moderator.
Okay. So this is from Al Jazeera. Israel to refuse visas to the UN officials after Guterres' speech on the Gaza war. Protesting the UN chief's indirect criticism of Israel, Israel's UN envoy says the time has come to teach them a lesson. Israel will refuse visas to the United Nations officials, its ambassador to the UN has said, as the country's spat with the international organization deepens. Gilad Erdogan made the statement on Wednesday, according to Israeli media, as the fallout from the UN chief's speech at the Security Council the previous day continues. UN Security General Antonio Guterres indirectly criticized Israel for ordering the evacuation of civilians from the north to the south of the Gaza Strip. He also said Hamas's attack on Israel on October 7th did not happen in a vacuum, as the Palestinians have been subjected to 56 years of suffocating occupation. Many countries welcomed Guterres' very balanced approach, reported Al Jazeera's Gabriel Elizondo from New York. So basically, they're saying that he was being fair with his words. They've been subjected to 56 years of suffocating occupation. Okay, I'll continue. It says, however, Israel was furious, and its officials called on the UN chief to resign. Israeli Foreign Minister Eli Cohen, Eli Cohen, who was at the debate, was so upset, said Elizondo, that he canceled a meeting with the Secretary General that was supposed to happen Tuesday afternoon. It is really unusual to see this sort of reaction against the Secretary General, Elizondo added. Due to his remarks, we will refuse to issue visas to UN representatives, Erdogan told Army Radio. We have already refused a visa for Undersecretary General for Humanitarian Affairs, Martin Griffith. The time has come to teach them a lesson, Erdogan said on X, formerly Twitter, that the UN chief has expressed an understanding for terrorism and murder with his speech. Later, Guterres posted an extract from his speech on X in an apparent bid to show he has criticized both Hamas and Israel for the crisis in Gaza. I'm not going to read the whole article because it's a bunch more.
I can play those clips for you, though.
Read the last paragraph.
After you
okay,
done.
Go ahead.
Whenever you're ready.
Okay, I'm going to just read this last paragraph. In a post on X, the Palestinian ministry described Israel's position as an extension of its disrespect and lack of commitment to the UN, its charter, and resolutions regarding Palestine. So yeah, I think this is just showing the just more hypocrisy that Israel has. This state of Israel, this Zionist state of Israel has. They won't even admit to the things that they to try to retaliate against somebody that's in the UN, the United Nations, and they're in peace talks, to try to retaliate on them for something that they said. They're in peace talks. Some talk is not going to be something that you like to hear, because other people on the outside looking in. So of course they're going to speak the truth or speak what they see. But for him to say that it's time to show them, give them a lesson, or show them a lesson, that just shows more hypocrisy on Israel's side. These devils are real devils. And you can go ahead and play the clip, Katie.
It was a day which began with the hope, at least, of small victories for diplomacy. Are you concerned about the number of civilians who are dying in Gaza, sir? America's Secretary of State here for a meeting of the Security Council to pave the way for a vote on a ceasefire of sorts.
To order. A living nightmare.
In the chamber, they heard the pain of the Israelis.
Aviv, 2 years old. Ariel, 4 years old. Kfir, little Kfir, only 9 months.
And the plea from the Palestinian foreign minister.
We are here today to stop the killing, to stop the massacres being committed against the Palestinian people.
And then there was this from the UN Secretary General.
It is important to also recognize the attacks by Hamas did not happen in a vacuum. The Palestinian people have been subjected to 56 years of suffocating occupation.
An attempt to find context for these dark days, well, it was not what the Israelis wanted to hear. Outside the chambers, surrounded by families of some of the hostages, Israel's foreign minister had just cancelled his meeting with the Secretary General, and the country's ambassador had this.
The Secretary General must resign. This building was established to prevent atrocities. How can the Secretary General, with his words, justify in any way the terrible atrocities that happened to our civilians, innocent civilians?
The Arab bloc of nations, who could well be key to all of this, called once again for a complete ceasefire by Hamas and Israel.
We condemn all killing of civilians.
But for them, the solution is about looking beyond Hamas, context, the reality of life for Palestinians.
If we are not willing to overcome all the difficulties, all the challenges, all the history that is involved in this issue, then we will never have a real peace and security in the region. So we must restart the peace process.
Do you think
the Arabs have shown clearly, have shown that they are serious, have shown that they are willing to engage? We are ready. We hope that we can do it soon.
I wanted to cut that short just before y'all comment. I want y'all to hear these people, man, because imagine right now, the United Nations is located in New York, right? This is on, America's, grounds in the country, and the United Nations is supposed to be a neutral place. But the fact that they feel that they call the shots to say that this man, the Secretary General of the United Nations, right? I mean, you got to listen to the pride of these people.
Escalates between Israel and Gaza, officials in Israel are demanding the resignation of United Nations Chief Antonio Guterres for alleging international law violations in their Gaza offensive. Guterres had said that the Hamas attack on October 7th did not happen in a vacuum. He also claimed that the Palestinians have been, quote-unquote, subjected to 56 years of suffocating occupation. Listen in to these comments made by the chief.
It is important to also recognize the attacks by Hamas did not happen in a vacuum. The Palestinian people have been subjected to 56 years of suffocating occupation. They have seen their land steadily devoured by settlements and plagued by violence, their economy stifled, their people displaced, and their homes demolished. Their hopes for a political solution to their plight have been vanishing. But the grievances of the Palestinian people cannot justify the appalling attacks by Hamas, and those appalling attacks cannot justify the collective punishment of the Palestinian people.
These remarks expectedly have angered Israeli officials. Israeli envoy to UN has demanded that Guterres resigns from his post. In a sharp response, the envoy even said that the UN chief has expressed an understanding for campaign of mass murders. Israel's foreign minister rejected connecting the violence to the occupation. He said that Israel gave the entire Gaza to the Palestinians with its withdrawal in 2005.
I think that the Secretary General must resign, because from now on, every day that he is here in this building, unless he apologizes immediately, today we called him to apologize.
Yo, who the fuck are they to tell do y'all see this? These people? Like, everybody has to apologize to them, right? Or you're going to be removed. Do you hear these people?
There's no justification to the existence of this building. This building was established to prevent atrocities. How can the Secretary General, with his words, justify in any way the terrible atrocities that happened to our civilians, innocent civilians?
We give Palestinian Gaza till the last millimeter. There is no dispute in regard to the land of Gaza. but they take the money they receive from the world, and instead of building hospital, office building, commercial center, they took the money to dig tunnels, to build rocket factory, not for the favor of the people.
The United Nations.
Don't you just wish sometimes that those that's talking all that shit just get up and fight like other countries, like the way they talk so lawfully, but they just, y'all got it, man.
Yeah, you're not gonna see that anytime soon at all, bro. They've been throw rocks and hide your hand type of people for a very long time. Everything they do is conniving, right? Everything they do is on the slick, on the slide. They ain't like Ishmael at all. You know, Ishmael is the wild, go into shit head first, pause type of thing. And that's their ideology, but not Amalek, bro. Amalek is gonna sit you out on the sidelines, poison you from like 50 miles out, wait until you start to struggle a little bit, and then they kind of get in there, right? But to say be on the front lines and jump in, it's not gonna happen whatsoever. They're just gonna talk shit the way you heard just now. And I mean the pride of these devils. You want a UN official to resign from his post because he mentioned provable atrocities in your treatment of the Palestinians and the occupation of their land that they had, well, not their land, but on a geopolitical level, geopolitically speaking, but they had ownership of and control prior to 1948. You're going to come in there, occupy territory, tell these people what they can do from what they can do, when things shut down, when the electricity goes off, when the water goes off. These are provable shit. Like this shit is well documented. Now you want the man to retire because he said it? Fuck Amalek, bro. But
Yeah, and you know what, real quick, see what they don't understand. The Palestinians, they got intelligence too. They're not stupid. You want them to take the money and build hospitals and stuff like that. But they know you're trying to eradicate them off the face of the earth or get them out of that land. They know you plan to attack them. That's why they building weapons. See, they think these people are stupid. They know what's going on. They have intelligence. They have rumors. They know, they hear things. They know that you have already had that in your agenda to get rid of them. That's why they building tunnels and stuff like that, because they knew that this war was eventually going to happen. You see what I'm saying? These people are just so stupid. They think everybody's dumb. Yeah, build hospitals and then don't get no weapons and we're going to bomb you later. Come on, man. Don't even make sense. And that's the arrogancy of these people. They really think they're the most intelligent. They really think everything is about them. They can't feel nobody else is suffering, man. This is why they hate it around the world. And they're going to continue being hated. And the Most High tells you that. It's going to cause the people to despise them in these last days.
And that's the same thing that they tried with Iran, right? Because they keep talking about that $6 billion that Iran's supposed to get, that they agreed to give Iran, and then they went back on their deal after the hostages was transferred, and froze it again. But it still ain't hurt Iran either way, because Iran is still, doing good. As of the last article, that Edomite in the last article reported on. So, in spite of what they say, they're like, we gave you Gaza. No, they didn't give Gaza. They said they gave Gaza. They didn't give them Gaza. They put fences around what they did give them, and they taken little by little back every year, right? All of them years that they have. First of all, who are they to give anyone in that area anything? I mean, that's the asinine thing of that's the asinine statement of this whole thing, that who are they to give anything? Because they took a whole military in there of all these nations, but for them to sit there and say we gave them something, they didn't give anything. They're not. Then it's not even in them to give anything, right? These are the people that the Most High said He would have war with forever. So they're not in. It's not in their ability to give anything, but wickedness. You know, man. I digress, man. We could definitely move forward. I think did any brother have anything else? I had another one last one in domestic before. I mean, we've been in international, it seemed like the whole time, but I did have one more after GK get done with his.
Let's see. So we were in domestic, right?
I mean, we've been mixing it up, you know what I'm saying? So whatever you got, you good, King. You know, it's all kind of related.
Okay, so I had something kind of good, I guess. I wanted to post to read about, because we always reading. I'm gonna post it up top right quick. Give me a second. All right.
Hey, you could tell where this guy's from. I'm just good. It's lucky.
You can tell where he's from.
Somalia.
Yeah, he kind of looked Eritrean, Somalian.
Yeah, that's
okay, I'm gonna read this. I guess I wasn't really paying attention to that at first. So there's some good news, I guess you could say. It says the 14-year-old who invented soap to treat skin cancer named America's top young scientist. And, you know, he might be, I don't know, East African, just from the look, but we don't know. I'm going to read it. So it says, Herman Bakil, a ninth grader from Virginia, was named America's top young scientist after he invented a 50-cent bar of soap to treat skin cancer. America's top young scientist is a 14-year-old who invented a soap that treats skin cancer. Herman Bakil, a ninth grader from Annandale, Virginia, won the prestigious award from 3M and Discovery Education, considered one of the country's top middle school science competitions. I believe that young minds can make a positive impact on the world. Herman Heeman, that's his name, Heeman, said in his submission for the award. I've always been interested in biology and technology, and this challenge gave me the perfect platform to showcase my ideas, he said. This was a race, and it got tense. Florida teen adopted hours before his 18th birthday. So I just thought this was interesting news. It's not a long article. Says Heeman won this year's grand prize at 3M's headquarters in St. Paul, Minnesota on October 9th and 10th, according to a news release announcing the award. In addition to a prestigious title, young scientists who win the award got $25,000 cash prize. And that's pretty much it. That was my domestic for today.
But you're right.
Y'all want to move to international, or you got any more domestic?
No, we got a few more, but I want to say, you know, it's possible he could be, you know, he could be our people. You know, we don't know. We don't know. So yeah,
but the fact remains, he got a Eritrean Somali head, bro. Just it is what
hey, listen. We got people in every area that look like the people of the land that they're in and they're from. Right. So you know, you never know. You just never know.
I wanted to comment on the article itself. Right?
Yeah, go ahead.
Because you know why he got this award, right? who suffers from melanoma and skin disorders by and large? Like, which subgroup of people do you think suffers from skin cancer more than anybody else in the world?
Red people.
Exactly. So I could really see why they chose to give him this award, right? Because this shit benefits them. Not to say that Black people don't get melanoma, but our cases are minute compared to the red man, right? But definitely a good piece.
Hey, as we all remember that devil the other day, that when you asked him, what happens, I think it was Q that asked him, what happens when they get sunburned, and he was like, oh, we get darker. No, nigga, you pale. You get red as a beet, and then you start to peel. Your damn skin starts to come off. You don't just get darker. No, you just turn beet red and you burnt.
But y'all got it.
Yeah, I actually got a let me see. I could save one for tomorrow. I did want to bring out that Ice Cube one just before we transition. Because I do with all our
because I started to read over that a little bit. I wanna, get more in depth to figure out what's going on there, because I believe it. Just from the title alone, I believe it,
Kind. So let me pin it in the chat, and so that everybody can see, and then I'm going to bear with me. Okay, and pin it to the room as well. Okay. And Ice Cube, I'll save my comments for after the article, man, because I got my issues with Ice Cube.
But KB, it seems like Jake has lost his nobility, right?
Right.
I think we should fix that.
Oh, that's right. Salakia. All right. The water. Hey, man, listen, you cannot let the Almighty be not amongst the kings. Okay. So our Almighty is the King of Kings. So let's get into this article. It says NBA being investigated by the U.S. Department of Justice over allegations that league worked to thwart Ice Cube's Big Three basketball league. Right? I think they meant the league worked, but it says the NBA is being investigated by the U.S. Department of Justice over alleged antitrust allegations, according to a new report. It says TMZ Tuesday that the league is being accused of working to prevent growth of Ice Cube's Big Three basketball league. The NBA is alleged of trying to prevent sponsors and other business partners from doing business with the league and discouraging TV networks from carrying Big Three games. NBA owners have allegedly been discouraged from investing in the Big Three. Ice Cube wrote on X. Correction. It says Big Three never asked the NBA to invest. We just want them to stop pressuring individuals and corporations not to invest in the Big Three, he said alongside a link to the TMZ report. They must be stopped. Since the league was most recently broadcast on CBS and Paramount. The Department of Justice investigation launched months ago. The 3-on-3 league, which launched in 2017, is mostly comprised of retired NBA players and takes place during the NBA offseason in the summer. However, it says, according to TMZ, both NBA players and referees have alleged been prevented from participating in the league. Celtic star Jaylen Brown did participate in the league's All-Star game this past summer, right? And Jaylen Brown is actually, pretty good dude from the most part. He definitely, he encourages like black owned businesses and things like that. He was one of the sole people that stood up for Kyrie Irving. So, I could see him participate in things involving us. So, but I don't doubt that this is, part of the, this has been going on, right? I think the NFL is the same way. You think of all of the outside, they did their best to bar Colin Kaepernick from, ever getting back in the league because he stood, he took a stand on police abuse, right, amongst our people, and they put the word out, right? And they also did their best to crush, things like the XFL and the CFL, things like that, where people can go to, have another resource, so it's definitely a monopoly on it. I don't think we're naive to that these damn devils, want to, they want to control our people at the highest form. These are racehorses that these players like LeBron James and and Stephen Curry and some of the elite players, they so the things that they do with them even influence other players. And I'm sure they sent the message out. And during the summer, it's nothing really going on WNBA, which nobody really watches the WNBA. But a lot of these athletes take part in summer tournaments, right? I can't think of the name. It's one notable out in LA that they take part in that you always see.
The Sprite Challenge.
Not the Sprite Challenge. It's the Drew League. The Drew League, they take part in that, which is a tournament. And all these players are subject to possibly getting hurt and things like that. So I don't think it goes against that. As far as them, they do have things in their contract that they're supposed to be more careful, but they take part in a lot of these events during the summer. They go to Rucker.
Yeah, Rutgers.
Right.
They go to Dykeman.
Yeah.
Dykeman is down very big up in New York and up there on 207 Dykeman Projects. Big tournament. Kevin Durant came there and a lot of cats.
Right. Yeah. Kobe used to go to Rucker. Almost every NBA star went to the Rucker Park in New York and played out there. So it doesn't really have anything to do with them possibly getting injured. I think that this is an all out to stop him from growing this business. And we always had the idea of our people wanting to have their own league, right? That's always been a dream of the things that they have to deal with in the NBA from these damn slave master owners, right? And it's still a slave game. People say, they try to dismiss that to say these guys get $1 billion contracts, they get $1 million. These are scraps compared to what the slave masters get. It's no different than plantation and getting scraps from the table. They get it's just like the lottery. Anything that you win, the lottery gets hundreds of billions of dollars, and you think that you get so much money. The same way with the NBA, these guys get scraps, and they want to make sure that their slaves stay in that position. So they crush anything that comes close, right? And I'll land on this. If you go back into the history of the NBA, they took the players from the ABA. That's where Julius Erving, Dr. J came from, the ABA, a bunch of other players, right? That was, a prize of great players. Just like the Major League Baseball, they took the players from the Negro League. They crushed it, right? When you start taking their best players away and you prevent anyone from wanting to participate, you kill it off. So I don't think it's no different with this, but y'all brothers got it.
I agree wholeheartedly, right? And with Ice Cube would be a unique threat. If I was sitting at the board of the NBA, with my business thinking cap on, I would be threatened by a league formed by Ice Cube for the simple fact that, hip hop is kind of ingrained in basketball culture, right? It just the two go hand in hand. Sports in general. You mentioned the XFL and the CFL. Yeah, they were. I think Vince McMahon had a hand in that, or was the actual founder of it. But they kind of tried to segue outside of like official sports with the rules and everything else. It was more entertainment than it was actual athleticism, right? But to have a brother like Ice Cube that has the the reach to bring in the Snoop Dogg's, the Kendrick Lamar's, the J. Cool's, and the people that our people look up to in music, right? And have them partner up with him with his league is a threat to the NBA, right? And if he gets big enough to start to be able to offer contracts and look for scout talent to bring into the league, it's going to change from just a summer thing into actual, and I think that's what they're scared of, right? The potentiality that this thing has drawn away, big enough names to put attention on this thing, which is why they're trying to, stomp it up. But I agree with what you said 100% when you made that reference to the Negro League and what they did there. So it's basically the same thing.
Let me say this real quick, and I'll give it to you, Elder. Let me just say this real quick, right? Because one thing I'll say about the league, I don't know if you ever, follow the league. They do change the conventional way of playing basketball. They do add their little spin on it because it's a 3-on-3 game, right? So it's not like a full court organized basketball game. They have, changed the rules on that aspect to make it a little more fun for the crowd. They have like shots where you could take and get like certain points. So they did add their spin on it. But I will say this. Black people love to say, that they're not, especially these superstars. We talked about what's his name, Floyd. The other day, talk about a lot of these celebrities that get up there that Black people are not a monolith, right? They're, we're not part of a whole one thing. We're not, we're everybody together. But when they get in these certain situations, they want Black people to kind of step in and say, you don't talk about this unless you want people to come to your people to come to your aid. You know what I'm saying? And my mom always taught me, she always said, when you don't take on the fight of your brother, you are forced to fight twice the battle. So when he stepped out there and told Kyrie, don't put my name in none of this when he was being attacked, because he was at one time being attacked, calling himself, said he was Israel. And he said, he kind of stood out there and said, don't mention my name. He didn't want to be involved in it. He wanted to worry about his little league. Now his league is being attacked. And if he would have stood out there, I think, if you put yourself out there, you'll have some more people that want to stand with you because you actually stood with them at some point in time. I just wanted to say that. Y'all got it. You got it, Elder.
Yeah, a lot of points. That league, he had the influence, that league powerful. When he first started the league, a lot of people came over. They was watching because he had Allen Iverson. And Allen Iverson was hurt or something, but AI is, NBA. People love AI. So he came over, AI came over there in that league the first time and was supposed to play. But I don't know what happened. And then people started following him. So he does got a lot of influence, and they need us. They need us, man. I'm glad you mentioned the Negro League, because to take it back to that Negro League, when you really understand what was going on in that Negro League with the Brooklyn Dodgers, it wasn't selling tickets like that. It wasn't selling tickets. The tickets was down. So when they got Jackie Robinson, who was a known player in the Negro League, what happened was tickets went up. And I'm going to tell you why. It's an old-fashioned move where you sell tickets no matter what. You don't care. People came to the game, total racist. Didn't even care about who the Brooklyn Dodgers was, but they came to curse Jackie Robinson. They came to spit on him, came to demoralize him, but they still came to the game to watch. So ticket went up based on that, and just some people wanted to support him. But Branch Rickey knew that that's what it is. Controversy, sell tickets. The same thing like Jack Johnson. Jack Johnson was the same thing. Jack Johnson, he was a boxer. There was a controversy boxer. So he sold tickets also because people came to see him get beat. And then there's some people that came to see him win, but they still came and sold tickets. See, that's what the white man does, man. He uses our people on all levels. He knows this.
We could move on though. Unless brothers still have commentary, but you said that was your last piece. You wanted to get into KB.
Yeah, that was the last one for domestic, so we could definitely move forward. Let me see
Can we
here.
officially make the transition into international?
I mean, bro, we've been in international since we started today, bro.
Yeah,
like,
we did kind of bounce around though. Yeah.
What you got? You got something you got lined up?
So if you're gonna keep the crown, right, which I suggest you do, could you? I have a piece there. Where is it? Where is it? I want to bring out that Australia thing, but
that
doesn't have to be now. Okay. There's a piece at the very top below the Tucker Carlson piece that I just brought up.
Mm-hmm.
That says IDF veteran goes thermonuclear on Netanyahu, right?
Okay. Select it. Right. So let me pin it to the top and anybody, just want to send a reminder. I've been reminding people in the beginning. Tomorrow we're gonna be having mid-morning brew blend on Twitter Spaces. So make sure that y'all sign up for Twitter. Get your Twitter account set. We're trying to expand so we can reach more people. We're gonna be moving around a little bit, and we also live streaming on the YouTube Kingdom Come channel. So, but you got it, King. It's pinned to the top.
So this piece is going to go into an IDF veteran talking about what he believes actually happened in Israel as it relates to this, alleged attack by Hamas, right? We kind of went into it a couple of segments ago about it possibly being an inside job, but this guy actually, makes mention of it live. So KB, there's another video attached to this I would want you to play for me, but let me just read a little bit of the article first before we get into it. It says the Hamas attack on Israel was an inside job. But you know what? Let's play the clip first. Let's play the clip. It's attached at the bottom. I think the name is Vincent Kennedy, right?
Okay.
I'm not too sure how long it is. Oh, it's 10 minutes. Let's play the first 2 minutes of that. First 3 minutes, and then we could get into the article. What was the show?
All right. 1 second here.
Shalom. I want you to know before I start the video that what I'm about to say is very controversial. So if you don't have an open mind about what's going on in Israel right now, and you don't want to hear something that might rattle your preconceived notions a little bit, I suggest you turn off this video right now. Oh, wait. Okay, if you're still with me, that shows that you're open to listening to some facts and a timeline that points to a very disturbing conclusion. This isn't the video I want to make, and it's something that pains me. I had a lot of inner dilemmas whether or not I should do this video, but I feel like nowadays truth and transparency is so important that I feel I should share it with you. So we're all trying to make sense of what happened on October 7th, which is Shmini Atzeret. Some call it Simchat Torah, when we all know Gazans came in and basically slaughtered 1,000 Israelis and kidnapped a bunch, all in the matter of about 7 hours. So what I want to do is reverse engineer this thing a little bit to kind of help you understand why I believe that this was an inside job. First of all, we'll start with September 1st. By the way, everything I'm about to say will be backed up with actual links to news articles or video footage. And if you want any of my sources, I'm happy to give them. September 1st, the Israeli government confiscated the weapons of the security teams in the Gaza Belt communities. This was done against the will of those security teams in the Gaza Belt communities. Why that happened, nobody knows. Fast forward to September 10th. On September 10th, the Moetzah, which is basically the municipalities of the Gaza Belt communities, received reports. These are civilians, received reports of increased tensions on the border of Gaza during the Jewish holidays, which of course span from Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and Shmini Atzeret, which was on Saturday. Those same heads of municipalities asked the army if they should cancel their festivities in light of the warnings of increased tensions on the border of Gaza. And what did the army say? They said, no, don't cancel anything. It appears as though we're heading into a state of calm. By the way, all links I will share as soon as I have a chance to comment on this. Now, you can assume that the Shabak did not know about this attack, but that's highly improbable. I mean, Israel is probably the most advanced surveillance state in the world, and the Gaza border is probably the most heavily surveilled. And the Shabak, who somehow knew how about a guy who had corona in a toy store and tracked him all the way to a soccer stadium during the days of corona, somehow didn't know about this massive attack planned by thousands of random Gazans on pickup trucks and hang gliders. Are you serious? Are you really that stupid? Do you really believe that? Because if you do, I have a bridge to sell you. Anyways, so then there's the theory that they're called in Hebrew Tatzpitanot, which is basically the command and control center. These are the people, mostly females, who's tasked with observing the Gaza border fence. They say there's a theory that says that they were hacked, or that they conquered or that they blew it up before they could. They blew up the equipment that surveilled. Well, that's BS, because there's actual video footage that I'll also share with you of those same command control center operators reporting on the breach of the fence. The fence was breached in 15 different locations. And you want to tell me that the most highly advanced surveillance equipment on arguably any border in the world didn't pick that up, didn't report it? Well, they...
Yeah, so I'm gonna pause it there. I think Azriel dropped off, but yeah, let me see. I don't know if it was any more of the article that he wanted to read per se. But this is a lot of things we've been saying about this, right? Okay, he's back. I paused it at 5:11. You there?
Okay, Con. I got a call. It's locked.
So good.
No, go ahead. What are you gonna say?
No. I was just waiting until you get back. So go ahead. If you want to, did you want to read more of the article?
Yeah. Let me just. One second. Yeah, so his commentary is basically a script of what he was saying on video. But I don't think I'm going to bring those out today. If you listen to the whole thing, I got like 2 or 3 of his sources. I think I'll probably double back to that because that'll take up more time than necessary. But I just want to say this, though. What we were talking about as it relates to the Hamas strike being an inside job and Israel knowing about it, that's not just coming from people outside of Israel. This guy is, an Israeli who came out with this video and put it out there. I'm sure it's going to be some type of reprimand for him somewhere down the line, right? If not, if he hasn't experienced that shit already. But people are seeing the patterns. Like we said before, Israel is a highly surveilled state, and the type of money that they spent on their surveillance systems is, extraordinary. So I don't think nobody with any bit of common sense knows what's going on the ground, especially somebody that was a former military serviceman, a part of the IDF. Nobody's going to take that and say, well, yeah, we take your word for it. These people were able to power troop down into Israeli territory and kill all of these people unless it was allowed to happen, right? But I'll be sure to put those corresponding source articles that he was talking about in the beginning of his clip into the box chat so people can start to look at it if they want, right? But I'll give there. Y'all got it.
Kind. Good article. I think that kind of goes in a line with some of the early, commentary that we brought out regarding people believing that or just different reports of it being a stand down order, right? Along because you need for this to happen, you need multiple things to kind of take place, right? They talked about, I think he talked about weapons being taken, that that rave or that party could being able to given the go ahead to continue on. Kind of alert systems being able, because once you see like if an alert system is hacked or something, then you have people that's calling in to say that, well, this is not operation functioning correctly. And also you have that the overall consensus that the people in that area was anti Benjamin Netanyahu and his regime, right? The people that was located close to the Gaza settlement, right? These settlements that they have continued to set up, right, with Jewish settlers, right? You want to, of course, move the people away from you, right? They wasn't in the northern part of the Israel; they was in the southern part, away from Tel Aviv and those things that's heavily fortified, right? But they're in the area that's close to the fence, and this fence is so flimsy, right? And you have people that's supposed to be monitoring this fence that they said that things went offline. They didn't have certain weapons. It was one report. I think the New York Times came out and said that it was an area that was supposed to monitor those settlements, and they said that this area was easily obtainable, and the people in there was like hiding under bed, unarmed. Like, so, all these things had to be taking place. And not to mention that the people in the area, they actually had a room yesterday on Spaces about, I don't know if that's the room that we was in, because I know Jake had linked the room that we went in, but it was another room that was talking about the falsehoods or the inconsistencies about the hostages and what they said they was treated well and all these things. But it was said that how long it took the IDF to get to that part of Israel, to the southern part, and more people talked about this place being the size of New Jersey, so it shouldn't have took them 3 or so hours to get to this part of Israel. You know what I'm saying? So that's why it was reports of it being a stand down order or something to that effect. So yes, it's a lot of things that had to take place. I don't doubt that, this guy is, a lot of things that he's saying is things that have been out there. But, even that, him having this type of information is good. But I yield on that.
Anyway, that's
All right.
So it's right above. It's right above your piece with Ice Cube.
Okay, Con.
Let's get into that because this the Valia decision is looking like it's making an appearance, bro. Because at present you got America down there. You got Edom. You got Israel, right? China has a presence, so Moab is down there now, right? With their ships at sea, close to the Red Sea. So the nations are getting in, But let me start to read, right? So it says, Australia deploys military transport aircraft personnel to Middle East. And this is how it always starts. It starts with a little small token, we're just sending aid. And then the next thing you know, they're sending cruise missiles and war tanks and shit like that, right? So it says, the federal government has deployed additional Australian Defence Force personnel and 2 aircraft to the Middle East as the conflict in Gaza continues on October 25th. All right, ADF personnel deployed from Townsville and Brisbane, while 2 Royal Australian Air Force C-130J or 130J aircraft deployed from Sydney as part of the government's response to the Hamas-Israel conflict. Although Deputy Prime Minister Richard Marles would not confirm the number of deployed soldiers, he told ABC News the significant contingent would join existing personnel and a C-117A Globemaster heavy transport aircraft already in the Middle East. And he says again, in quote, that takes a total of 3 aircraft, and we're not identifying where they will be. But the point is to support Australian populations in the Middle East, Mr. Mal said. When asked if deployment was to offer military support to Israel, he told 2GB Radio, no, we're making sure that we have a presence there so that if we are in a position where we need to evacuate Australian citizens, and he saw us crafty, bro. He's speaking like a true Edomite politician, right? We're making sure that we have a presence there so that if we're in a position where we need to evacuate Australian citizens from the wider region, we can do that. We want to ensure we're prepared if matters worsen. However, he urged Australian people in the Middle East, including places like Lebanon, to go. Don't rely on this. Take the commercial options available and make a departure, he said. An estimated 79 Australians remain in Gaza, but over 800 of them were airlifted from Israel since the first government-assisted departure flight on October 13th, right? And you keep continuing on before I say anything else or read anything else on this, right? Australia was the test ground during COVID-19 for the most draconian measures in the world, right? They were right up there with China, but yet all of a sudden, you only have 79 Australians remaining in Gaza, but you send two huge aircraft, one called a Globemaster. I think that's one of the biggest ones they got in their fleet, if I'm not mistaken. You send these aircraft over for 79 people, the same people that you harassed to death over not taking a vaccine. You're sending this type of military hardware over so that you could have a quote unquote presence to protect these people. Esau is so full of shit, bro. Right? It says, it comes after the Israeli government formally declared war against the terrorist group Hamas, which controls the Gaza Strip, following a deadly coordinated strike against Israeli civilians on October 7th that resulted in 1,400 deaths, according to Israeli forces. Since then, over 5,000 Palestinians have been killed in Israeli strikes, including 2,555 children, according to the Hamas-run International Children's Emergency Fund, or UNICEF. Middle East and North Africa has said the death and injury rate of children in Gaza was simply staggering, appealing to all parties to agree to the immediate ceasefire and allow aid into the enclave. The Israeli Air Force intensified airstrikes on Gaza on October 24th, launching 400 over the past day, up to 320 the day before, including the south, where it told civilians to evacuate. Meanwhile, the Australian government is providing an initial $10 million US, that's equivalent to $6.32 million in humanitarian assistance to fund urgent needs like medical support, emergency water, nutrition, sanitation, and hygiene services. The United Nations Air Chief Martin Griffith said civilians need more, much more, as they struggle to have enough to eat or drink. The conflicts, the ADF General or Chief General Angus Campbell said that the conflict between Israel and Hamas appeared to be in its early stages and that how long Australian personnel would be in the region was uncertain. Mr. Campbell added that there had not been senior level engagements between the ADF and the IDF, or the Israel Defense Force, in recent times, and there was no request from the IDF for assistance. Meanwhile, Military Strategic Commitments Division head Stephen Chapu said the move was a precautionary and prudent pre-positioning of assets and capabilities to assist future eventualities, right? So Esau has this thing kind of planned out. I myself, most people know my position on this. I agree with that Israeli that came out and said that it was an inside job. Now all of a sudden, you have Australia coming into this thing, not knowing how long they're going to be there, and they only have 79 people in Gaza right now. They evacuated 800, so they have less than 1,000 people in the so-called Middle East to begin with. But even after the evacuation of 800 people, you send all of this military hardware that you don't know how long it's going to be there for 79 people. And you're telling them to use commercial options, don't depend on this. It's because your motives aren't for those people. That's why you're telling them that. You don't give a shit about the 79 Australians you got there. They're there for when this thing inevitably goes bigger than what it is right now. But I yield the floor, I yield the mic, and I'll end the article there. Your brother's got it.
Yeah, good article, King. You know, they're gonna have each other's backs. Australia, Great Britain, France, Canada. As long as the U.S. getting into something, they're gonna want to get in it too. For guts and glory or whatever, to have something that they can put in Edomite history later on. They don't care how many people die. They could give a damn about, like you said, like there are people that's already there or whatever. Like the U.S. couldn't care less really about the hostages. They'll say that they're going to help with the ground game to get some hostages out, but I don't agree with that. I think that this is just more so to put something in the history that they think that they may, end up being on the winning end of this, quote unquote. And it's going to be a massacre. This is going to lead, of course, we hoping that it leads to the Valley of Decision, the Valley of Jehoshaphat. So, and that's what it's looking like. More people, more countries are moving towards the valley every day. China got ships over there already, saying that, well, they're not really into that. They was already over there. They was there for some East African shit or whatever. But they got ships over there. Got Australia moving over there. Sending cargo planes over there, the C-130s. That's a small cargo plane that can house troops and like small cargo, but they don't put like tanks and stuff like that on C-130s. They will put that on a C-5. It's a bigger cargo plane. But we'll see what plays out, how it plays out. I'm sure there will be other movement from other countries heading in that direction here pretty soon.
Yeah. Good argument. Is Elder Toronto speaking? I can't.
I think he was having trouble, King, but you got it. I think he was having some trouble with the mic because I seen it on mic, but I don't think it was for you. You got it, Jake, if you want to say something. All right. So as Rio's actually bringing out that article, Biden was holding a joint press conference with Australia Prime Minister. So definitely things are changing at the moment. There was a lot of breaking news that's actually just coming out. It said that France is sending a hospital ship to Gaza, as well as they and every day they come out with something more, saying that they're going to another reason as to why they're going to delay the ground assault. Right, every day is something different. Today is now they're going to delay it until the air defense systems can be that United States said that they was going to install is wait for them to be in position. So every day they have something other than they don't know what they're going to meet, and that's the reason why they're holding up the ground assault. Hold on, give me 1 second. Let me see. I think Jake has sent something to the chat. Okay,
I have an article I want to bring out, and then but the audio I put in there, I want to play that. And so I'll give you the timestamp to where the start. It's only going to be like a minute or less.
Give me 1 second. Let me cue that up for you.
Yeah. So, and then I have but it's going to be, my article is going to be from the New York Times. Here. Can you post that link at the top? That's the New York Times article I'm going to read from. Never mind. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Let me know when you got it set. So this audio you're going to listen to is from a focus group that this independent media. As you mentioned.
Yeah, con.
Okay, go ahead and play.
It's a good thing.
What role should the US play now? Should they be trying to broker peace? Should they be supporting Israel militarily? Should they be doing something else? What should the US do in response now?
Continue to protect Israel, because I think the majority of our blessings and I'm spiritual alive, but I mean it's kind of natural, because I've been praying for Israel ever since God saved me. So I say he gonna be full force to protect Israel at all costs.
All costs?
All costs. It's no end to what he's gonna do to protect Israel.
I think the U.S. now should also do what they can to protect the innocent victims in Israel. I mean, there's so many children, and it's heartbreaking.
What does that mean, though, Amy? Does that mean?
Yeah, well,
No,
that's
sorry, I know you're not president, but what does that
See,
mean?
that just goes back to my whole. I just don't want there to be any more, and I feel like if we take a super strong stance, it's not going to stop, and it's going to get worse.
We go over there and step in.
You can stop it right there.
It could be a lot.
So there's a focus group. There was other black people. There's a black man in there. There were two other black women in there. It was basically just white black. But I think it was about 8 or 10 individuals in that room, right? From different age groups, sexes, and majority white and black. And the reason why I thought it was important to start this article out this way was to show you how majority of our older generation of people, how they believe and how they feel about the Israel-Palestine conflict. And it is due to them being bombarded, whether from birth or through conversion, with propaganda about Israel. And so I want to go into this article and kind of talk about how the propaganda is going to be targeted to some of our family members who are still in the Christian faith, still go to church every Sunday religiously, who still think all people can be saved. What information are they getting from their spiritual leaders? Because their spiritual leaders are on conference calls. They're going to seminars. They're getting emails on how they need to make sure that they stand with Israel, believe with Israel, donate to Israel, and pray for Israel. And they got to pass that information on to their congregation. So this is an article from the New York Times. This was written on October 15th. It says, for American evangelicals who back Israel, neutrality isn't an option. Conservative Christians' strong connection to Israel form the backbone of the Republican support and is tied to beliefs about biblical promises and prophecy. Pastor Jared Wellman took on stage Sunday morning at the Tate Springs Baptist Church, 7,000 miles west of Jerusalem, to talk to his congregation about Israel. Quote, neutrality is not an option, Mr. Wellman told the crowd, two murmurs of amen. He traced the history of aggression and oppression against the Jewish people through ancient Egypt, into the Roman Empire,
And then from Nazi Germany to the attacks on civilians last weekend by Hamas terrorists from Gaza, which he described as acts conceived from the darkest pits of hell. American evangelicals are among Israel's most ardent advocates, compelled in part by their interpretation of scripture that says God's ancient promise to the Jewish people designating their region as their homeland is unbreakable. Some evangelicals also see Israel's existence connected to biblical prophecy about the last days of the world before a divine theocratic kingdom that can be established on earth. Now, 1 week after at least 1,300 people in Israel were killed in Hamas attacks, and the number of dead in Gaza soared past 2,400 in Israeli airstrikes, evangelical leaders across the United States are voicing that support in sermons, public statements, and calls to action. Quote, there's probably no greater friend to the state of Israel than American evangelical Christians, said Daniel Darling, director of Land Center for Cultural Engagement in Southwestern Baptist Theological Seminary in Fort Worth. Jesus Christ, that's a long answer. Conservative evangelicals have long formed the backbone of the Republican Party's support for Israel. Evangelicals cheered when President Donald J. Trump recognized Jerusalem as Israel's capital in 2017, announcing that he would move the United States Embassy there. That support is not just abstractly political. American Christians flock to Israel as pilgrims, sometimes on trips sponsored by churches like Tate Springs or led by guys who specialize in Christian history. Some tourists memorialize their trips with tattoos or get baptized in the Jordan River, where Jesus is said to have been baptized by John the Baptist. At Tate Springs on Sunday, Mr. Wellman, after pointing to a new page on the church website directing prayers and donations to Israel, led the congregation in prayer for peace, for justice, and for innocent people in Gaza and West Bank and in Israel. In a pew toward the back of the church, Brandy and Brian Johnson welcomed the message, but their minds were also on more practical concerns. Just last week, they paid more than $10,000 for a, quote, bucket list trip to Israel sponsored by the church and scheduled for January, which is now unlikely to take place. Mrs. Johnson had always been looking forward to walking through the historical sites there just to know that it's his land, she said, referring to Jesus. Let's see, let me jump down. Many evangelical pastors condemn the assaults by Hamas and urge their congregations to pray for a country which many of them feel intense spiritual, cultural, and political connections. Others took a more apocalyptic tone. At Radiant Church, which has several locations in Southwest Michigan, the pastor Lee Cummings preached a sermon about the escalating war between Hamas and Israel, describing the Jewish right to the land as an inheritance from God. Peace between the Palestinian and Israeli people is not possible right now because Hamas, he said, speaking ominously in future violence. When they're, quote, when they're done with the Jews, they're coming for Christians, he warned. Quote, prepare your hearts for the rising storm because this isn't calming down. There's more to that. I don't want to read the whole thing. It's a really heavy article. They got multiple churches, multiple pastors, and talking about, let me read this part. Joel C. Rosenberg, the survey's other sponsor, was born in the United States, but has lived in Israel for almost a decade. He hosts, quote, the Rosenberg Report, a show broadcast on the conservative evangelical Trinity Broadcasting Network that offers, quote, a biblical perspective on Middle East news, often with an eye to how news events line up with biblical prophecies. In an interview, he described American evangelical support for the country primarily theological and not political. Quote, God has laid out his love and his special plan for Israel and the Jewish people, starting in Genesis 12 and going right through the book of Revelation. Other Christian groups have taken a more circumspect approach, condemning violence against all civilians and stopping short of outright support for either side of the conflict. This goes into a lot of people talking about biblical prophecy. So the reason I brought this article out is for us as Israelites who've done the work to accept our identity, who've done the work to break down the Bible line by line, precept by precept, here a little, there a little. The reason why we did that work was so that we can understand our place in the world, who we are, and what God wants for us, and what is required for us, and how we can understand the prophecies that are going to come to pass. So your people, your family members, this coming Sunday are going to get fed the church's interpretation of these prophecies. And they just told you right here what their interpretation is. And so this event might be prophetic for us, and we might be sitting back looking and saying, you know what, let them fight, like in Gaza, let them tear each other apart. But that action, that war, that conflict is confirmation to some of our grandparents and some of our aunts and uncles that those people over there are supposed to be over there. It's not a revelation of if you execute colonialism and white supremacy and Zionism and apartheid, that people are not going to like that and they're going to eventually want to rise up and kill their oppressors. That don't click in their brain. What clicks in their brain is, well, they're obviously God's chosen people. That's why that has to be happening. So keep that in mind. Hey, you.
Right. Great point. Great point. That's obviously the spin, and it also puts, now we have with us, we're proving that we are the Israelites, but now we got an attack on us with these church people now, because that's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to spin the narrative that those are being attacked, that those are the Jews, and this is the great war that they're going to come up against Israel, and then God is going to defend his people. And them church pastors, some of them might not even believe that. I'm talking about the ones of us, but they have to teach that because they're on the payroll of the government. But that's something that they will have to promote and push, and it definitely is gonna, I believe, starting to heat up a little, starting to take to the streets. Some brothers are starting to get into issues, even with the Palestinians, because we don't take their side either. So this thing is going to be heating up. It's going to be heating up. It's going to be taken to the streets. People definitely going to get more emotional. And scriptures that we bring out more with shows like Revelations 2 and 9 and 3 and 9, that these people are not the Jews, is going to bring more controversy, and more people going to get emotional. And we're going to see. We're going to see where it's going to lead to.
And I wanted to include this part because in the audio that King Ben played, you can find that it's a YouTube channel called Breaking Points. It's like an independent news network. They used to, the two hosts came from The Hill, right? And that's a newspaper. They came from that show and made their own channel. But in that focus group, the sister, the grandmother that was talking, that she said, I think that our blessings come from protecting Israel. She, when asked what should happen or what should be done about the Palestinians, she said to wipe them all out. That Joe Biden must wipe them all out. That's what she said. That's the conclusion that she came to. And imagine if you have other evangelical Christian brothers and sisters that are in the military that also now believe that when they go to church talking about, their pastor's talking about, we need to pray for Israel, we need to protect Israel because those are God's chosen people. How many of your brothers and sisters who are active duty military are actually going to want to do that because they believe that they need to protect those people over there? Because so they can get blessings. Ain't that sick? There you go.
news. I'm spiritual sometimes. So they're spirit, our people are spiritual, but they just don't know what they're fighting against because they're not in the truth. They don't really read the scriptures for prophecy. They read the scriptures that were taught to them, and that's it. Being in church 50 years and 60 years and still don't read the other scriptures in the Bible, that will tell you who the people are and who the enemies of God are and things of that nature. It's just amazing how the propaganda machine can work and put our people in this kind of state. I'll end with that. I do have 2 more articles, KB, but y'all can go ahead and if you got something else to say, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, apparently Israel wants to build a temple in Gaza after, they expelled them out of there. So that goes into their doctrine too. I saw a video a couple of days ago. This preacher was going off. He was like, we got to wipe them out. We got to wipe the Palestinians out. So Israel can get into Gaza and build that third temple and usher in the coming of the Messiah. And everybody started cheering. Like, it's crazy, how misinformed people are.
And I want to say this, right? Because, I'm glad, Jake brought that article out because, it's so much deception out there. And when you hear these people talk, right, that, these people are not the Bible, but not of the Bible, right? They have no practices of it, right? They don't keep none of the, none of which the Bible tells you to do so, but yet they still try to substantiate themselves as being, the children of Israel, right? But not keeping any of the Most High's commandments and, perverting the truth, right? But if you are not, cemented in this thing, if you don't have the understanding, you will fall victim to the things that's being said, right? I want to play one clip, right? And I got some breaking news from Turkey. This is really big. I'm sure brothers caught it. I don't know if I put it in the Kingdom Come chat. I wanted to actually play the clip from the Turkish president of what he just said, what he said moments ago. But let me just I want to play this clip real quick of what this devil Netanyahu said. And this is why you got to be girded in this truth, and you got to be kind of, you got to wean from the milk so that you will not be, fall victim from these things. A lot of our people have jumped into the book mid-range. I heard a brother saying the other day that he don't subscribe that anyone go into the laws, right? He subscribed that they go into the middle of the book and go into the gospel, right? And that's how our people get tripped up, because I'm sure that preacher, that pastor of that woman teaches her on Sunday from the gospel, but saying that the gospel was for everyone. I'm sure of it, right? But let me just play this clip, Salakia. Here we go. Just sent it to the chat. I thought I sent it though. All right, my bad.
Our war against Hamas is a test for all of humanity. It is a struggle between the axis of evil of Iran, Hezbollah, and Hamas, and the axis of freedom and progress. We are the people of the light. They are the people of darkness, and light shall triumph over darkness. Citizens of Israel, October 7th was a very dark and black day in our history. We will fully investigate what had happened at our southern border, the border with Gaza. Everybody will have to provide answers, myself included, but all that will happen only after the war. As a prime minister, I'm responsible for guaranteeing the future of this country, and now my role is to lead all Israelis, the state of Israel and the people of Israel, to an overpowering victory. It is now a time to come together for one purpose, to storm ahead to achieve victory. With joint forces and a profound belief in our justness, a profound belief in the eternity of the Jewish people, we shall realize the prophecy of Isaiah. There will no longer be stealing at your borders, and your gates will be of glory. Together we will fight. Together we will win.
See that? He's
but wasn't that prophecy supposed to be enacted the minute Israel gets into the land?
Absolutely.
So you trying to realize the prophecy?
But see, that goes back to Jake's. But hold on, Salaki King. That goes back to Jake's article, because that woman believes that by supporting Israel, that she would that prophecy of Isaiah will be realized. That's what that naive woman in her elder age, that's what she believes, right? Because her pastor told her that. You understand? So that was the major point of Jake's article, is that, falling victim to those things. Go ahead, Mike.
I just had a quick comment on that as well. He actually quoted 1 Thessalonians 5:15. I thought those people don't believe in the New Testament.
See that?
On the argument of what Azrael brought out, right? Thinking like, isn't these things supposed to happen when we get there? Like, isn't peace supposed to be happening when we get there? Isn't that supposed to be happening when we get there? Isn't the Messiah supposed to be happening when we get there? And the temple supposed to be happening when we get there? They don't believe that. The sect that he is a part of, when I say he, I mean Netanyahu is a part of. He is of the Zionist sect, where they believe that they must make these things happen. They don't believe that things happen based on a course of events that are going to occur, and God will provide these things to them. It is, we must make the Messiah. Anybody can be a Messiah. Netanyahu could be the Messiah, right? The Messiah will be realized by the Jew that takes responsibility, kind of. That's what that unites all of the people. The Jew that unites everybody is the Messiah. And if Netanyahu is capable of uniting, he already has a united government. That's what they're doing all of this to create a Messiah. They're doing all of this to create prophecy. So by Netanyahu, just a month ago, was trying to, avoiding going up on charges and getting sent to prison. He united his government. The government that was opposing him, that was trying to take him out of power, is now united behind him. And so, keeping that in mind, he's now trying to work to get the Orthodox, the super far rights, the ones that are going over there in the Golan Heights, all those areas, the West Bank, and ripping Arab women out of their houses and saying, "This is my house now." And the atheists that also live there, live in Tel Aviv and going to college, and just moved out of there from living in Beverly Hills and decided they wanted to move over there because they're going to get a free house and free, everything's going to be free. They can get money to start a business and all that. So they moved over there. The homosexuals moved over there. He's trying to unite all of those people under him. You even got people who live in America, who work in social media, who are trying to say, you have to support Bibi Netanyahu. There's no time for protesting him. There's no time for this, that, and the third, because we're fighting because the Goyim hate us. All the non-Jews, all this rise of anti-Semitism, there's no time for division. You must unite. behind Bibi Netanyahu. So that is where he's getting the ball sack to actually say that we need to make the prophecy of Ezekiel come to pass, or Isaiah come to pass. That's insane, but that's their school of thought. We must make these prophecies. We must take these prophecies and clench our fists and make them happen, because that's how we will be in Israel if we make things happen. So keep that in mind.
Hey Jake, what category would his belief be under? Like Sephardic or
I don't think it's not Sephardic. That's a race thing. Like, these are different races of people. So like the difference between Ashkenazi and Sephardim and all of that, Yemenite, all of these different types of Jews, it's just your race. But I don't know the term of it, but like people like Ben Shapiro have the same idea, where it's this affluent kind of globalist Jew that believes that we must make these prophecies happen. Anybody can be the Mashiach. It is very, like I said, neoliberal way of thinking about prophecy. It is like a modernized, where you have the Orthodox, they 100% believe the Mashiach will come, or the Messiah will come, and he will appear, and everybody will see him, and that is when we are allowed to go back to Israel. And then you have the far right, who don't give a fuck about none of that. They want all their slaves today. They like tick-tock. Let's get these slaves, those people over there, they 100% on demon time, ready to get these slaves going, because they absolutely think that non-Jews are dogs and animals and horses that can be rode upon. Like, that's how they think about us. So what he is, like I said, a more affluent, he grew up in Philadelphia. It is a different way of thinking about the Bible, where they believe in it, but they believe they actually have to make things happen.
I guess I could say Amalek, took a New Testament concept, right? The kingdom come not by observation. These devils are really trying to build this shit the way they see it, and try. If you have to, I just want to say this to the audience, bro. If you have to mitigate around to make things happen in a way that it lines up with something, that's not prophetic, right? It isn't a natural course of events, like Jake said, right? You kind of forced it to become that, and you're deeming it that, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean that's exactly what it is. So it's sad that our people are being strung along for the ride, especially the elderly community. It's kind of sickening to hear that woman say what she said about the current Israeli state. But this is why the scriptures say our people suffer for lack of knowledge, right? This is why we perish for lack of knowledge. And she's going to go down unless the Most High touches her and opens up her mind and spirit to receive the truth of who she is. But bro, it's a bad look. It is a bad look for that generation, and even our generation that believe they don't have a horse in the race when it comes to this thing. They just look at these people to be whatever they say they are, and look at themselves to be black or a nigger or whatever. But we got some things to endure before we get where we need to be. But
Sean Hopkins, like, that's really, it's crazy, man, because like you say, our people can be deceived, and these days, especially the old, they still falling for this joke right here, that these people are the children of Israel, and that whoever blesses them shall be blessed, and whoever curses them shall be cursed, according to Genesis 12:2. This is what they have lived on. This is what they have gotten billions of dollars on. Right now, when the new House Speaker is elected, they already said that Biden is going to pass a bill for $100 billion. Send them $100 billion. But the Negro in America cannot get nothing. You don't have no money for reparations, but you're sending them $100 billion. And our people don't see this, man. Our people don't see this. What about the plight of your own people? What about the suffering of your own people in this country? And we know this devil ain't going to try to give up no reparations, but are you in agreement with them sending $100 billion to Israel? While your people that have caught hell from the beginning of this country can't get a dime in reparations? Some of our people, man. Well, the Bible tells you, Revelations 12:9, that the devil deceived the world, man. And I'll leave it at that.
Right. And you know, that's the odds to what the elder was saying. Officially, the House committee elected Mike Johnson as the Speaker of the House, right? So he's in there full effect. And I don't think it's coincidental that it took the other clown about, almost a month to be ratified. And as soon as this Hamas-Israel thing started, the Speaker of the House is kind of shoved in there and officially becomes the Speaker. So, yep, that's the thing. Mike Johnson is in as the Speaker of the House.
Hey man, breaking news, man. Listen, we can run the news all day, man. It seems like, man, it's just information's just coming out as we speak. I still don't believe with the them nominating this guy. They still have to get across the hurdle to get these funds, and they still divided on that. Funding Ukraine and Israel. They gotta find that money, right? So we'll see what happens with that. But I wanted to get to this article.
Hey, real quick, King Ben, not to stop you with the article. Mm-hmm. What you think about this guy, Lamont Hill? Because, he's definitely pro-Palestine. He's on the Breakfast Club. I'm going to watch that interview. Think they eventually going to go after him?
Lamont Hill, remember, he got kicked off of CNN for, supporting the Palestinians. And now he's on Al Jazeera, so they really can't go after him in a way that they want to. He's been very vocal about it, to an extent, right? With reason, so they're going after everybody, man. It's a sister that I'm probably gonna bring an article out about tomorrow. She was kicked out of the bar, right? Jake's sister that spoke up for Palestine, and they took her. She was about to be an international attorney, and they basically rescinded their invitation to her job. They also de-doxed her along with the other students. We brought that article out, and they've really been going after her. It's another even a person in Parliament in Canada that a Jake woman that was kicked out, that they said they'll give her job back if she apologized. So they're going after a lot of people, especially our people that's siding with the Palestinians, right? But Lamont Hill, that's why he was actually kicked off of CNN for speaking up for the Palestinians. So he's kind of used to it. So, but he's in a position now with Al Jazeera that he might have a little more latitude. But what just came out with Turkey, man, this is big, man. Honestly, this I think is big, because we've been talking about this Turkey being that linchpin, possibly that wild card. The speech that Erdogan gave today is kind of deep, just to me, right? So if I may, this article here, I think I have it pinned as well as I put it in the chat. Salakia. So it says here, Turkey's Erdogan says Hamas is not a terrorist organization, cancels trip to Israel. It says Turkish President Tayyip Erdogan, in his strongest comments yet on Gaza conflict, said on Wednesday, the Palestinian militant group Hamas is not a terrorist organization, but liberation group fighting liberation group fighting to protect Palestinian lands. Says NATO member Turkey condemned the civilian deaths caused by Hamas' October 7 rampage in southern Israel, but also urged Israeli forces to act within restraint in their response. Ankara has strongly criticized the Israel bombardment of Gaza. Hamas is not a terrorist organization. It's a liberation group. Mujahideen waging a battle to protect its lands and its people. He told lawmakers from his ruling Ankar's party, using an Arabic word denoting those who fight for their faith. Oh man, they got Ishmael riled up, man. It says, unlike many of its NATO allies and the European Union, Turkey does not consider Hamas a terrorist organization and hosts members of the group on its territory. Ankara backs the two-state solution to the decades-old Israel-Palestinian conflict. It says Erdogan also slammed Western powers for supporting Israel's bombing of Gaza and called for an immediate ceasefire. The unhindered entry of the humanitarian aid into Gaza and for Muslim countries to work together to stop the violence. The perpetrators of the massacre and destruction taking place in Gaza are those providing unlimited support for Israel, Erdogan said. Israel attacks on Gaza for both itself and those supporting them amount to murder and mental illness. So I want to play this clip real quick, and then I'll continue with the article, right? Bear with me. Mm. Mm. So
yeah, that was bad. I don't know how that shit is gonna spill over in NATO, but I'm sure that it will, right?
I mean, who's the West? Who's the other country he's talking to, Azriel? That gotta be the U.S., man. That's
exactly who he's talking to. That's exactly who he's talking to. Which is why I'm saying what I'm saying. I don't think their membership as a NATO nation is gonna last much longer as these conflicts start to heat up, bro. Like I just don't see it, you know. But yeah, that's deep right there. It's like the colonel said in the first thing we brought out today. about, the sensitivity America has towards Turkey, but with something as blatant as that, I mean, he tried to put it in a way where you had to read between the lines, but come on, bro. That was a poor attempt because it didn't work. You could tell off the rip that he was talking about America, right? But, we'll see. Things are heating up, bro. But
I just want to finish the article real quick, and then brothers could jump in there. So it says, I think GK is off mute. GK, you off mute.
Yeah, you might have to mute the brother. Oh, okay, cool.
Okay, Khan. It says here, Israel rejected Erdogan's description of Hamas, with Foreign Ministry spokesperson Lior Hayat calling the group a despicable terror organization. Even the Turkish president attempt to defend the terrorist organization, and his inciting words will not change the horrors of the whole that the whole world has seen. Hayat wrote on social media platform X. Erdogan's comments also drew swift rebuke from Italian Deputy Prime Minister Matteo Salvini, who said they were grave and disgusting and did not help with the de-escalation. He urged Italy's foreign minister to lodge a formal protest against Ankara. It says shares in Istanbul dropped 7% on Wednesday in a slide that traders attributed to Erdogan's comments on Hamas. Let me see if there's anything else. Okay, I want to read this part. It says, indicated that those normalizations efforts, Salakia, it says, the fighting in Gaza comes at a time when Turkey is working to mend ties with Israel after years of acrimony, focus on energy as an area of cooperation, indicating those normalization efforts were now suspended. Erdogan accused Israel of taking advantage of Turkey's good intentions and said he had canceled a previous planned visit to Israel. I shook the hand of this man named Netanyahu one time in my life, Erdogan said, referring to his meeting with Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly last month. If he, Netanyahu, had continued with good intentions, our relations might have been different. But now, unfortunately, that will not happen, either because they took advantage of our good intentions, he added. Erdogan accused the West of hypocrisy for failing to respond in what he called Israel's intentional massacre in Gaza with the same decisiveness as it did with Russia's invasion of Ukraine. So that's the end of the article there, man. But hey, man, rubbing hands together, everything that we talked about, hey, man, the Most High is making it true, man. This is the Most High sending, these countries, man, especially Turkey being one of the linchpins that we've been talking about for the longest time. And it came after step after step after step. Remember, they was trying to get in the EU. EU rejected them, called them a terrorist state. They've been trying to, make good and deal with NATO. The United States had sanctions against them for buying Russian equipment early on and before the war even started. So they have been pushing them more and more to this position, and firming up their position with the other Arab nations. Man, they are the sole Arab nation in NATO, and they have been used as the go-between between the other Arab countries. So if they lose Turkey, they lose like any chance to have any of the Arab countries, the main Arab countries, come to the table. Remember, Turkey was part of that grain deal. They was part of the deal with Iran and meeting with Saudi Arabia. It was a lot of deals that they was responsible for, man. So all praises to the Most High, man. I yield.
All praises. That shows you, man. And really, they use Turkey for their base too. A lot of this, we got to realize the military strategy too. America uses Turkey for their base, but they was able to set their planes up when they had to go to Iraq and all different things. So yeah, that's very key, man. It's very key that these Arabs nations are starting to turn on America. But this Bible prophecy, man, they show you that the Most High is in control, right? He tells you in Proverbs 21, he said the heart of the king belongs to him. He puts it in whichever way he wants them to go. He tells you in Ezekiel 38 and 10, it says an evil thought shall come into their mind, right? And he also tells you in Job, he seals the instructions of man in deep sleep. So we know that the Most High is doing this, man. He's causing these nations to turn against the whore, as it states in Revelation 17 and 16, that they shall hate the whore and shall burn her with fire. And this is exactly what's happening.
Salakia. All right. So I think GK had one that he wanted to end with. Pass it to the brother, and we could wrap up after that, man. We went, been on for a minute. Let me pass it. GK, you around?
Yeah, I'm around. We're about 2 minutes.
Okay. All right. So I think I seen the ones. I'll pin it. The ones that he wanted to bring out. Let me pin it to the top there.
That last one.
Okay. The Chinese one.
Hold on. Let me see.
Was that the new?
Trying to walk.
Hold on. I might be in the wrong one. My bad.
No. Israel agrees to delay invasion of Gaza.
Oh yeah, we kind of covered that earlier. I don't know if you wanted to.
Okay.
Yeah, they was talking about, or I kind of mentioned it. I think I mentioned they delayed it due to them setting up the defense system. Yeah, we kind of went into that. Yeah.
And then the other one was
was it the BRICS one? Oh, you got one about BRICS.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, got you. Okay, let me finish to the top there, and then you can start reading it. It's pin there. Okay. Cool. Right.
All right. So this is trying to get back to my.
Right area. What I did. It's already in the chat here, so let me go. Slack it. Let me mute up. My bad. Just bricks.
Yeah, about 2 minutes. Okay. Like I'm actually have to be at it and some people might.
Oh, Salakia, if you want me to read it, I can read it for you, King, if you want me to.
I'm upstairs now.
Okay.
All right. It says BRICS. India refuses to pay Chinese yuan for oil, prefers the U.S. dollar. Threats are developing between the top 3 BRICS members, India, China, and Russia, over payment options for Russian crude oil. Leading oil refiners in Russia are demanding developing countries pay in the Chinese yuan or the Russian ruble only while India recently paid the Chinese yuan to procure oil from Russia, the country is now refusing to put the yuan ahead of the US dollar. BRICS member India is uncomfortable with paying the Chinese yuan for oil and prefers to settle trade either in the US dollar or the rupee. An executive from the state-run Indian oil company said that 5 cargoes have been delayed as India refuses to pay Chinese yuan, Bloomberg reported. The 3 BRICS members are in the crosshairs over currency options, and India prefers to pay the US dollar over the yuan. Okay. So I just wanted to read that brief little article because I'm thinking that, the US is trying to trade a place, of course, and they're probably made promises to India if they play both sides, so to speak. If they because they know that the dollar is falling, and that's pretty much it, for that article. If y'all have something, go ahead.
Yeah, that definitely smells like espionage to me. Something like now, Jocko was sent in there. CIA got control of something. They made some threats. Something happened, bro. That's out of sorts for India. But yeah, that's my piece on it.
Yeah, I honestly believe that kind of comes between, that India and China have been at war for a while. They have, a border territory. They have been having a border war. And even though they're BRICS members, do you remember, prophecy says that these countries, even though they come together, right? We look into the 4 Carpenters, even though these countries will come together, right, at some point, they still have their differences, and they also are vying for that top spot, right? China being the fastest, the second largest economy behind the United States. India the fastest growing economy. So, there it is a rivalry, right? So I do understand. That's why it's going to be so important when they do decide to, implement that BRICS currency, because it's going to be something neutral. You're not going to be given an advantage to one of the countries. So even in something that is they're coming together, it is still big differences, and they don't want the other one to have the edge up over them, right? China's still vying for the top spot, even over Russia, even though them and Russia are working together, and India as well, right? So what they're saying is that they rather it be done either in their money or the US dollar, right? They still have interests with the US, that they would use, but they don't want China to get that spot. That battle that they've been having, I mean, several of their people have died. Several of the Chinese people have died in this border battle between their militaries over, this area. So, it's I don't that's not out of the realm of as them requesting that. I'm sure eventually it'll get dealt with as they move towards that, them, making their own currency for BRICS. But yeah, they don't want to get, they don't want nobody to get the edge. They don't want, trying to get the edge up over them. It seems kind of crazy in what they're trying to do, right? They definitely need to come together if they're gonna, finally drop the US dollar in that, unified effort. But yeah, differences still, matter. But good article, King. Definitely good article. So yeah, we're right at the 3 o'clock hour, the prayer hour. So definitely had a good newscast. All praise to the Most High. Just before we close up, just wanted to say yeah, it's a lot going on, man, and it's an important time. We're gonna be, moving this newscast around. The water for everybody coming through. Tomorrow we're gonna be on Twitter Spaces. We're gonna be venturing off to Twitter Spaces opening up Thy Kingdom Come, newsroom on Twitter Spaces. So look out for that. We're still definitely going to be live streaming it. Still got the live stream going, so you could jump into that if you're not on Twitter. And all praise to the Most High. So with that, as always, want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh, and we do so by the way of His Son, Hamashiach Yahweh Shai, Kwame Sha'ala. We pray that y'all have a beautiful rest of your day. Stay safe, stay vigilant. Look out for one another. Shalom.